This show is rated A for absolutely atrocious. This show is rated B for brainless banter.
Whee!
This show is rated C for catastrophic.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger!
This show is rated L for libelously long. This show is rated M for mature. Seriously, like M for mommy, they're saying naughty words. Even if the host is far from mature, the show is rated M for mature. You have been warned.
Yes, Mom.
This show is rated N for neurodivergent. This show is rated R for Rico. That's right, Rico. This show is rated... Oh god, that's enough. Do your own intros next time.
Okie dokie, gentlemen, are we all here ready to fucking go? I asked you all a question! As I reveal my giant monkey! That's not as funny as you thought it was, boy!
God, I thought he meant penis!
I swear, the only thing I hate more than weaklings... Hey! I'm speaking, soldier! Don't fucking speak unless you're smoking! When we're gonna dance, we're gonna flare!
The talk show at the end of the week.
Space is big.
Star Citizen Base.
It's really big.
Round Table.
Hey!
Oh, there is music and everything.
No, that was me.
Oh, okay.
It's these freaking OBS works with audio inputs from the scene, so I have to add it as a source first before it works. So, what's going on here? Yes, William, sir, you join us now.
OBS Studio.
I didn't break anything. Everyone just left before we started the show.
It's a circle on its side.
Right?
Exactly. It's pretty fucking flat, right?
What is he talking about?
The round table is not round. It's like if you took a wheel and looked at it head on, it's kind of flat. Get it? It's a joke. No. Anyways. We had a bunch of people here, and one was like, you know what? I'm too fucking tired to deal with this bullshit. That's a good overlay. And then the other one, I'll let you guess who this was like, it's such a nice day outside. I just want to go for a walk in the park and go shopping at Whole Foods. Who do you think that was? We could be down to one person next week, and we could be.
Maybe. Well, so really, it's just going to give an open invitation to anyone in the chat. Join us.
A 2-hour salt block.
There's Wee Hamster. You got him. Okay. Maybe
You think you got him?
he's he has this nice crackling microphone all the time.
Hello, N-Track.
It's N-Track. What's up?
It is N-Track.
Yeah, so we're here.
Geo
at
does
least.
not shop at Whole Foods. Yeah, no.
I don't.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wow. Yes. Hi. You're very low. Or maybe Jin Chao is just very loud.
I'm very loud.
Yeah, he is.
I'm obnoxious.
I can fix that. Yeah. What else?
I don't know. We'll wing it. We'll figure it out as we go.
You're a distant hamster.
Oh my god. He's in a box. Under the bed. With his butt sticking out of a hole. It's crazy.
That's I don't know what to say about that.
N-Track's like, just tuning in for once, and there's no round in the table. They didn't want to do it.
That's what I was gonna look up. Where's the table? I need a picture of the table.
You need a little tiny coffee table, like a little tea table.
Mm-hmm.
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 Yeah, but that's a lot of people. Oh, look
Okay,
at this guy.
Kale. There we go. What the hell? There it is. That's good enough. I'm not gonna do anything else. It looks terrible.
It looks horrible. But we used to be a radio station, but we're not really.
That's funny.
I don't know what happened.
No, actually, we went back to being a radio station now.
Yeah.
It's that
Good
Twitch
old-
is
We don't need TV.
giving us a hard time.
TV's for losers.
Yeah.
Am I still quiet?
No,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
good now.
I don't know. I got you at 200%. It's fucking hard to hear you. Get up in that bitch.
Okay, hang on a second. Windows
Yeah,
10 to screw up everything in me.
It
so
did
I have
with
to-
the update, yeah.
Windows.
That's why I
Yeah.
always do that on a Monday after a show. I have the whole week to fix stuff. Twitch
Yeah, Nick,
cracking
that
down.
is true. I'm not sure what that's going to leave for us.
Yeah.
We had agreements under our SOCAN license to do what we were doing, but they apparently programmed their bot or whatever to say, nope, fuck you. And that was
No.
that.
No, it wasn't Twitch. It was somebody else who did it.
Yeah,
An external
Interplay.
record label.
Yeah, but we already gave them their fucking money.
Yeah, nowadays, yeah. But we have to play by the book. But unfortunately, Twitch is not the most quickest when it comes to help desk.
Yeah,
That's
here,
the
send
way-
us an email.
No, not an email. Fill out this
Wasn't
Google
he-
form.
Oh,
Google
Google form, that's right.
Fucking Google form. Jesus. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. I don't know if Twitch is high on Amazon's list of priorities at this point in time.
There's probably some intern that made that form 5 years ago. They're like, yeah, for now, let's just make a Google form. It'll be good.
It'll be fine.
Spent
For
$1
now.
billion on the company and yet they only use a Google form. Wow.
Okay. At least there's
That's kind of
some
funny.
there's some good news in Star Citizen, I guess. This show is supposed to be about. Not sure if that was already live the last time we did a show, but since like a week ago or something like that, you can now melt Voyager Direct purchases that you've made. Since forever, so anything you bought with UEC on the Voyage Direct store can be refunded completely. The UEC will be put back into your RSI account and also applies in game. So this is something I noticed too, is like when the game, when a new patch is out, they reset everything, but you start off with the UEC amount that is in your RSI account. Well, it becomes alpha UEC, so you don't lose any actual UEC on your account, but in game, you start with whatever you had in your account. That's why I suddenly realized, like, when I started 3.2, I was like, why do I have 25,000 UEC suddenly? I thought everyone started with, like, what was the default back then? 3,000?
5K.
2.5.
It was like 5K at one point.
Something like that, yeah. It was 2, and then it was 5, and then it was 3, I don't know. Right? Oh, 5K. Yeah, well, that's
you
nice.
didn't have to worry about it because
and
it didn't matter.
No, not much. But right now you can buy so much more in 3.2. I'm glad that actually has some use now. You know, you can actually value doing missions and having alpha UEC, buy weapons and that sort of stuff.
Well, it's better than requiring people to pay $10 or better, sometimes $16 for a weapon to test.
That's right, it was.
Because that's what we were doing back in the day.
$16 for a pair of, or for a single Badger.
Mm-hmm.
And then they brought down the price in December, which I wasn't too happy about.
Well, and that's all we were doing because we were always, you know, flight testing, arena commander, all this bullshit. So there was no way to get the weapons unless you bought them with UEC, which costs real life money. So it's good. It's better that way.
Yeah, and actually, I started off buying suits and weapons and armor. When I realized later you could also buy ship weapons, and the Avenger now has proper hard points as well, meaning that you can actually even swap out the nose gun on it, which I think Gimbaled is a size 3 weapon, size 3 Kruger, or is it Tiger Streak or something very weird Gatling thing where you can put a size 4 fixed weapon on it. And I was thinking maybe I would try to do missions to save up for a long range laser cannon because I like long range things better. Probably do some more damage that way, but those weapons are expensive in the game. It's like 30k for a single size 4 weapon, laser cannon, something like that. It's like, what the fuck? And look at what Eden just sent us, right?
What's this?
Oh shit, now I lost it. It's off screen.
Testing.
And she just
I
can't
get
left.
this mic up. Sorry.
Now she sends us pics of where she is.
Oh, to rub it in that she's actually outdoors.
Oh look, I'm
enjoying
in the park.
the world.
I'm outside.
Well, that's where I've been lately.
Well, it is nice, but yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Where is that?
Somewhere in Maryland.
Maryland, yeah.
Okay. That looks nice.
Yeah.
That's the best part is she was here. And she's like sitting there. She's like, oh, woe is me. I gotta go. Oh, it's so nice outside. I'm like, okay, go. Fuck, you're a big girl. Just go. You don't have to. You don't owe nobody nothing. Just fucking do what you want to do. So she did. She was like, fuck you, Juntao. I'm fucking out. And now she's going to send pictures from Whole Foods of overpriced food that's not as good for you as they tell you it is.
So many wasps.
Really?
A lot of wasps is mosquitoes and yeah, farming UEC is a pain. Well, it's also the problem that I realized that when at that point when I finally might have that weapon, like I spent 30k, I did hours and hours of missions to get it, and then server. You fly your adventure with your shiny ass weapons on it, and in the middle of nowhere, the server crashes and you've lost your ship, including all the weapons that you put on it.
And when you claim it,
you have the default loadout. Yeah, so all that stuff is gone. That's how I lost more than enough weapons already at this point. Like I took tarantulas off of the freelancer to put on the Avenger at one point. Lost those two. Now the freelancer doesn't have any weapons anymore. Or technically, I could reclaim the freelancer to get that back.
And get the weapons back.
It's
so it sounds like the system is working.
The system is working. If only you wouldn't be so afraid to lose your stuff due to what's alpha. I mean, of course, you can't complain on something like that. But of course,
it's going to reset in a couple weeks anyway when they push this 3.2.1 PTU patch live.
But at some point, it's going to be around for a couple months.
Oh, sure.
At most, and then it's just going to be and then you're screwed.
I don't know,
was
but
something
I think
that
it's
came
about the
past.
mentality.
Yeah, but that was something that came past. I think Antrak was the one that was like, okay, so he had some issues with UEC or something like that, and he went into the minus. I'm not sure if that was possible, but apparently it is. And
negative UEC?
And, you wouldn't be able to claim anything at that point. I don't know if that actually... I don't know if you would, but... what if you're so screwed with it that you can't really play anymore? And in the PTU phase, you could always just recopy your account, and it would be you would have the default UEC and the default ships, and but something like that doesn't exist in the live build. But it could be useful
the way
if
it's going to be.
Was, because it's alpha, and people might want to reset, stuff because they broke something. It can always happen. So, an account in a game, an in-game player, whatever you call it, character data reset button on the website might be.
Yeah, it's called
idea.
Open a fucking ticket and wait weeks.
Yeah, maybe they can do that manually too. I don't know.
I'm sure they can. They used to in like World of Warcraft and stuff when shit would go crazy. You open a ticket while you're in game, and a game master would respond to you while you were in game.
Yeah.
But CIG's not at that point, but I'm sure that they could do it. Innovis says he hears that people are still losing weapons when they die, and that's accurate. I have the... What were they? Were those the Citizen Con weapons? Is that what they were?
It, though, isn't it?
Citizen Con. Yeah, but I paid $5 for that shit.
That's going to be like one of those arguments. That is going to be the same thing when the game goes live and you actually lose it for good. Yeah, but I paid $10 for this ship. Well, so
fuck you.
Screw you. You lost it. You lost. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's mine. I want it.
You're gonna lose it, yeah. Which is something I was even in 3.1 that I multiple times I was at Korea and I was shot, and I had my, special version Gamescom. What's the weapon?
The custodian.
Gamescom skin custodian arms thing on me, and technically someone else can even take it from you if you drop.
Yeah, that's right. I used to have Junta. I remember I shot Junta once, and I had his gun for about a month or so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
you can do that, which is actually totally accurate.
It's cool as well, I think, because if you're all going to have individual and unique skins, then that's kind of like a trophy in a way.
Yep. Here, look, I killed the scrub. I got his custodian. Fuck that Juntao guy.
Well, maybe. Although for actual weapons, it would be logical, but maybe for skins, you might still just have the spray paint blueprint somewhere that you can just put the skin on a different new weapon. I'm not sure, but that's something that you don't know. Now I'm just theory crafting, but network error. Did the stream die, or did this just my end?
No, it's still working.
That's working.
It's up. Yeah, Nick. When they get to that point, that is the idea, is that you will pay additional insurance to insure your loadout as well. So base hull insurance is base hull insurance, and they were talking about other insurances for your weapons and for your cargo and for this, that, and the other. So, it's all fucking baby steps. Everything's about the drama anyway.
I wonder how expensive actually that's going to be, upgrade insurance and cargo insurance.
I would
we know-
assume it depends on the cost of the weapons that you put on it.
And they're going to be expensive. Look at the size 6 gun now you can buy. That's what
180, something like that.
1,000 USD, yeah.
Yeah. It's big,
So-
big credits.
So that's a big liability. So therefore, that will be high premium.
Yeah, but at some point, it's not going to matter. When the game goes live, it won't matter. If you're smart,
No.
you'll make a bunch of money up front. You'll play it safe for a little while until you have enough bank that you can start taking chances.
You can afford losing money on something.
Yeah, we were talking
don't,
about
then
that
don't,
yesterday. Like some sort of in-game storage, like what the hell were we talking about? You're supposed to start with a hangar. Everybody's supposed to start with a base hangar in one of however many starting locations they create for everybody. So in theory, you could just store shit in your hangar and only leave with what you want to risk, right? Like Escape from Tarkov does. You get to build a bank of all the crap you've looted throughout the game and then only take what you're willing to risk. So if you're going to do a high risk mission, you can save yourself some headache by storing things. Maybe. I would think that's the direction they're going to go anyway.
Well, that's what they said, but I really don't trust CIJ anymore. I think they've reached a stage where they just seem to be winging it in a way.
Oh, they totally
At
are.
some points, yeah. Well, I think
So
that's another thing we noticed when Ben, with the whole insurance timer thing. And I mean, Ben is pretty much out of the picture mostly. I don't know what exactly he still does there, but I think, yeah.
From Maryland, I don't think he's been doing a whole lot. If you follow him on Twitter, he's been having like all kinds of interesting shenanigans going on of trying to get a house. And then did you see that they had one of those transportation storage pods where you put all your belongings in and they deliver it to your house? Well, the door was all fucked up and they couldn't get it open, and the company came out and couldn't get it open.
I'm just saying that his
Allie's
input
father
may
came
just
out
be...
with a sawzall. It might not even be existed. Allie's father came out with a sawzall and cut the fucking door off of their pod so they could move into their house. Yeah. That's fucking crazy. But I'm going to say that my guess is that Ben Lesnick really isn't participating in anything
decision making
at all.
No, not that. As far as I know, he's still something to do with the lower end
Probably,
of
yeah.
things.
Well, because
So-
he has all the insight to Wing Commander and shit, and he probably knows more about Wing Commander than Chris does.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah,
You know, so
that's definite. I think he's connected officially with the lore team.
Bremat wants to know if the FPS is better
I think it is.
than in the
No
previous
shit.
update.
What previous
trick-
update is he talking
Trick
about?
question. From 3.1?
Yeah, it depends on what you mean by previous.
It's a trick question. And the reason why I say that is when 3.2 went live, the frame rates were astounding. 4-star Citizen, you know, anywhere. I have a pretty beastly rig, so I'm getting anywhere from 35 to 65, 70 frames consistently, with a few frame drops as shit spawned in. But now it seems like yesterday or the day before they implemented or they re-implemented interdiction. So now again, when
They
you're
did?
quantum traveling, yes, you're getting interdicted by pirates, you're getting interdicted by asteroids with pirates, all kinds of entities are spawning into the PU, and it's causing issues again because the frames are becoming more and more unstable as more entities spawn in. Like, I could jump from Alisar to Daymar in my prospector, go mine Daymar, and I can get interdicted once on the way, then go around the asteroid on the other side of the NPC pirates, because you're not going to fucking dogfight in a prospector. It's just not advisable. Then make the second jump, make it to the atmosphere of Daymar, start burning down to the atmosphere, and have 2 more pirate ships spawn in to chase you down to the planet surface and chase you across the planet surface. And if you're fast enough and low enough, you can ditch them. But all these entities are spawning all over the place. I'm not the only player on a 50-player server that's experiencing this shit. So if there's 50 players that are all getting 4, 5, 6 entities spawned on them, that's, exponentially expounding a problem of too many entities for the server to track. So it causes, like we were playing, it was pretty stable for about an hour, and then it really got crazy. The frames were up and down and up and down. And when you're trying to mine, unstable frame rates is not good for the way that they have mining set up.
No, it's not. No,
it's fun, and it's an alpha. So I'm probably one of the most, I wouldn't say the most, but one of the more patient players, testers, whatever, because the shit doesn't bother me because this is what I expect to have happen. But the chat in the server is going fucking ballistic, CIG, this, that, and the other.
Oh my god!
Bunch of hacks, all that kind of same crap. You have to just deal. You have to manage your expectations, like we've been saying a whole bunch of times. And Grizz, there is less desync in Star Marine, but Star Marine is kind of different now because heavy armor actually works. There's fucking Gatling light machine guns and charged fucking shotguns and all this shit. It's considerably more challenging. They've opened up a lot of the oh, look at you, fancy fade. Woo! Where there used to be walls, there's not walls anymore. So they made a lot of shortcuts that weren't there before. So you have players with the ability to come at you from 4 different angles. So if you're by yourself not paying attention. Oh yeah.
What do you mean by no walls? I haven't played it in ages. It must pop up.
Like, I don't know, is it Damien?
Yeah.
When you go, if you're on the pirate spawn side, if you go to Delta is usually your first stop on, I think it's Damien. And it was a capture point in the center of a room that was raised up, and there was a bunch of open space beneath it and a stairwell that led to Charlie and all this shit.
Yeah.
Beyond that capture point, there was like a walk around where you could walk behind a wall. Well, that wall is still there, but beyond that wall is open, so you can EVA right into that area.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And then the other one, what's the other map called?
Echo 11.
Echo 11, yeah.
Which one is the larger map?
Damien.
Echo 11. Really?
Echo.
Damien's just a couple of platforms.
I should know. I've been spent for several days in the platform.
I know. I haven't played Star Marine
a
couple days lately, but the one with all the platforms on it, with the landing platforms on it, has the Bravo checkpoint that's down below a big landing platform, right?
That's Echo 11. No?
Is it?
Oh my god.
Fuck if I know. It does kind of irrelevant, but they took a wall out, so where if you spawn from the Marine side, you can go up the stairs, over the platform. And you know how you used to EVA over Bravo and go snipe Delta all the way across the other side of the map? Well, now there's a hole in the wall that leads you right into Bravo, like right into it. So it's all different, and it's crazy. The movement is
better.
Different. It's hard.
Who does it suit better?
Well, I don't know. Tactical shooters are going to do better in this, I think.
Well, is that what? Yeah, okay. Is that not what we want? Or
you want me to get rid of my thing so you can fucking play around with that and get rid of my background?
Yeah, you just make it green.
I leave the background. It's lovely. It's pretty.
No, green. Just remove the thing entirely.
I gotta remove the chroma from here then.
Yeah. Because I'm probably just gonna...
You have to change yours as well.
Yeah, that won't get better anyway.
This is not good enough. Not professional.
Doesn't have good lighting for that.
The other green.
I don't. Now is there a box next to you now? Oh, you moved your camera. That's probably why.
I shifted my camera. Here we are playing on the stream. I could put it in the middle, but it's still
Yeah.
going to leave 2 black bars on either
Is it?
side. Oh, yeah.
Okay, then we'll just.
Does anybody care? The other green. That's right, Fast Cart. The stinky green.
I care.
I care.
No one cares.
Does it make you the same as size
Oh,
now?
he's like, he's so much
Oh
bigger.
God, no! Look at this. What are you doing?
That was weird, right?
Yeah.
It
just-
must be perfect. Like 25 minutes into the fucking stream and it needs to be perfect. Actually, it's fucking 5:40 already. Wow.
Yeah.
No, just hang on. I'm trying to do something. Oh, who
Size-
cares about
size
music
matters,
breaks?
Nick.
Who cares?
Size matters, Nick. There's no joke.
Because now I can probably just go.
But anyways, back to your thing there.
Oh yeah. Who does
Getting
better?
tired stamina system is a bitch.
Mm.
It is like it takes you for fucking ever to keep your heart rate in a balanced state and actually get somewhere. So we were so used to running full bore
Mm-hmm.
to our checkpoints and stuff that if you try to do that now, you can't shoot. So your gun's like fucking all over the place. It's a lot more complicated than what it was before. So
Is it slower? Oops, sorry.
it is a little bit, but I think a lot of players are overcoming the stamina issue by using freaking shotguns because there's a lot of shotgun kills. So you don't have to have the greatest aim with. Yeah,
Oh, they're
well,
quite-
they're heavy, but their
They're quite
spread is so
powerful.
big. Yeah, and you
Yeah.
don't have to have good
Especially that
aim
new
on
one.
your target.
That what's the name of it?
The damn ballistic shotgun is completely
It's a new one.
semi-auto, so you could just click, 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 and pump rounds out. So it's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just fucking different.
Well, the shotgun has always been a good weapon for close quarters. I know that's a stupid thing to say, but the Kazakh arms, is that the one, isn't it? Yeah. I like that shotgun.
So Eden's out in the field and she's still talking to us on Discord. That's fucking savage right there. That's fucking savage.
Stupid. Enjoy nature.
What?
No, I'm just on my phone in nature.
Right?
Sitting on a bench somewhere.
That's funny stuff. So, the game coming along. The game's coming along. I think the real deal is, are they going to get the server stability that they think they're going to get? Is
It's always been the big question since day one.
this is the
big
object
thing.
container streaming and network bind culling and all of this server meshing and all of these
This-
things.
The whole project is now delicately balanced on these things now. This is what
Yes.
we're waiting for. And if this doesn't work, that's it. We're fucked. Or there'll be a fundamentally different game anyway.
It will be a fucking fundamentally different game if that shit doesn't work, right? It will be instanced.
Yeah.
And you will travel from instance to instance and
You
you will
see-
only see 50 players
Lord,
maximum at a
You
time.
see what happened there? I think I get this a lot, and you can see the you can see the objects streaming in as the door opens, and it isn't fast enough loading all the assets in the room behind the door. So the door opens and half of the railing is missing, and it's just popped in. You can
No,
see that
I
just
thought-
happened.
I thought that was anything that you didn't see anyway. That's normal. I don't think that's anything to do with object.
Yeah, but it's just slow loading. It should be there as the door opens. You know, as you should be
Well,
able
there's-
to see it. It should be there, but it wasn't just.
Yeah, but there's so much shit and they had to turn everything down because they don't have optic containers. So everything is down low, level of detail, all that. So yeah, that's the problem at the moment. Everything is turned way down. It looks crap actually. Some places.
You think?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The fidelity's gone down. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I think that I was just going to say that. Do you think that they will have to back off on the level of fidelity a little bit in order to have the goddamn game run within the engine? You know,
They might have to.
You can't do whatever you want. The sky is not the limit. There is a fucking hard ceiling on all of this shit, right? You know? So you can't just pack it with entities and pack it with code and pack it with physics and pack it with all these different things that make a game actually run and expect it to run. It's just, it doesn't fucking work that way.
Okay, I have my special.
What happened to his helmet?
What helmet?
His helmet is all foggy now.
No, it's because he turned on this light. It's something to do with
creating a glare.
And that's
on
another
yours.
thing that's
creating a glare on this.
Yeah,
see, when I turn on my light, I actually can see right through his eye holes and see his eyes. You can't when you do it like this.
The mask looks black now.
Right. N-Track has invited you to his party.
Party.
Oh, that is N-Track. I didn't even know that. Look at that.
It is. He said
What
hi.
What do you think he'd be hanging around for?
Because he likes
knows
me.
who you are.
He was a.
Yeah.
I thought I was.
He pretends to like you.
Thought I had a new friend.
Hey, Harold.
Yeah, we're just doing this. I thought it was a good idea. Look at that. 2 players.
Yeah.
Nick, I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. I also expect player cap increases.
Still 50, huh?
It's 50 at the moment. But we'll see. You know, the biggest takeaway of the last couple weeks was Chris Roberts on Reverse the Verse saying he and his team honestly thought it was not going to be this fucking complicated. He didn't use those exact words, but that is what he said. We didn't think it was going to take this long to get here.
I wouldn't put it that way, because the scope has increased.
Well, sure.
They didn't expect this time frame to occur, but yeah, I wouldn't agree what you say, because it's constantly been changing all the time. When something like somebody comes around, oh my God, Chris, I can do this now. Oh, can you? All right, let's put that into the game. Well, that might delay it now for another 8 months or a year, you know.
Well, imagine if they had not had their technological breakthrough of
the
planetary technology, right? If they had not made that happen at that time, we would be playing a totally different game right now. There wouldn't be planets. There'd be a bunch of fucking truck stops and space stations, and all of this stuff wouldn't run different. It would probably run different, right? You know, you wouldn't have the ground play. The mining would be totally different if it was even implemented at this point in time. Jack, Procedural Planets was supposed to be post-release, but there was some guy in Germany that had a bug up his ass that he knew he could fucking do it, so he did it and he made it work. So now everything changes, and then everything kind of, the whole momentum of the project shifted to, okay, now we got these planets. Let's start building star systems with planets and moons and all of this stuff. So it's dancing pretty good.
Why, Connie? It's the most buggiest ship in the game.
Well, it doesn't like physics for sure. So they're pretty as shit, but there's so much going on in this fucking engine, you know. There's another fundamental problem with people is they think that this shit is easy, and it's not fucking easy. You know, if it were easy, everybody would make a AAA game, you know.
No,
but it's just not. So I still come back to the same thing. They need to create a stable play environment where it's a minimum of 40 to 60 frames per second stable all the time. There cannot be 5 frame per second lag spikes. I mean, there can, but they can't be as frequent as what they are.
Well, the graphical engine, I think, never really had much of a problem.
No, it's all network.
It was always network related, yeah.
The network has always been the problem since day one of the whole project.
Green in my face.
The network was always going to be the big issue. You know, fancy graphics is a lot easier to do, but what CIG are trying to do, making like even this. Look at this, all individual objects, all turning slowly. You know, and you can land on them, and you'll be able to mine on them. You know, this is nothing even mildly close to this.
Oh, sure. And here's another fundamental hurdle: is when you load in to the game, you're watching your loading screen. All of these objects are placed in your fucking RAM. All of them. Every fucking one of them lives in RAM.
That reminds me of RAM, but go on.
You know, until it needs to be drawn by your graphics card.
12 gigs.
Then the code has to call on these things to be drawn, right? And then the LODs are constantly changing. Like you see, as it gets closer to these asteroids, they become more and more and more defined. And if you get right on top of them, they're pretty freaking good looking pieces of rock for a video game. You know, so there's so much shit going on in this engine right now. Just in this little bit of shit, it's astounding. It's an amazing technological feat just to get it to where it is right now.
I want to ask you a question. Do you think that we will have to have 64 gigs of RAM?
No.
64.
You think they'll get away with it?
I think they'll get away with 16.
Do you think so?
Probably, when object container streaming becomes a thing, and they only need to have what lives on your memory for your specific area, yeah, I think so.
Wow.
He's in this big ass play space right now, and he's burning 12 gigs of RAM.
And yeah, but everything's turned down, though. You see.
Well, that's true.
I think 32 definitely is the minimum.
That's what my guess was. That's why I bought the.
But I have a good feeling that we're all going to have to get 64 gigs.
Fuck. Well, that's gonna push a lot of motherfuckers right out of the game right there.
But that's what Chris Roberts kind of indicated there during the reverse the verse he did about 2 weeks ago. He was talking about RAM and 64 gigs was mentioned, and the way it just came out of his mouth. I know you have to take this with a pinch of salt, but it kind of indicated that we might have to go to 64 gigs, which I'm not looking forward to, considering the price of RAM.
Well, once the micro, what the hell is it?
Look how big that thing is compared to the ship.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And look at how much detail appears as it gets closer and closer. The asteroids have the asteroid crater damage in them.
And then the shadow
crazy.
It just pops in. Look at that. It's just...
Yeah, that's against it.
It does that on Delamar as well, and you see an asteroid overhead
LOD,
has half of a shadow.
Down. It's rather annoying because when you come close to something like this, and then the shadow suddenly appears and you can't see where you're going, it can be rather annoying.
Well, and that's another hurdle there, Nick, is we cannot see
now it looks good.
Hurston realized without object container streaming, because you're talking about another planet, another 4 moons, an actual planet that you can land on, unlike Crusader, which may or may not be a physicalized object.
Yeah, how big is that going to be? That's going to be huge.
You know, and now you're talking about just one star system. Stanton is four planets, a sun, technically, that if you had the rest of your life, you could probably fly to it in game and burn up.
I hope so.
You know,
and
all the moons and all the debris and all the truck stops that they're going to put in along the way, and all of the NPCs that are going to spawn, and all of this other shit that's going to go on in this one little play field. You know, it's crazy. Look at how fucking small that ship is compared to that rock. That's fucking nuts. And the rock turns. You know,
and the rock is moving.
And the rock is fucking moving. It's fucking crazy.
Just trying to land on this thing. I don't think.
No. I think it just keeps hitting you.
I think it'll keep bouncing you off. I've tried it over in in the Delamar area landed on some of those asteroids. There's nothing there. I don't think there's any gravity physics on the asteroids to prevent your ship from just floating away.
No, it is not. The ship has a gravity box.
Actually, I think you are on it now. Actually, you have landed. Well done.
No. He's
No,
trying to
'cause
get
the whole
out.
thing should be turning. The whole asteroid is turning. Oh, okay. It is slipping.
Yeah, it's amazing technological feat, like I said, but it's not enough in order to achieve what it is that they're trying to achieve. So your green screen's got you looking like a ghost, man. Look at you.
Gosh,
Wow.
God, you look
Holy crap. Yeah, that thing is terrible.
I am the ghost of Star Citizen Past.
Don't buy it. It's a scam.
It's a fucking scam.
What the hell are you doing? Is he doing an
He
emote
sits
in
in a
space?
fucking dark ass room like a vampire. Look at him. He's only lit by his monitors.
No, I'm not.
He's
I have two
sitting in front of a
freaking...
window.
No, this cam's actually really bad because I have freaking lightsaber on my face, which is like high-powered LEDs on it in it. No, there's plenty of light here. It's just that the camera's terrible.
You need a new camera. You've always had a bad camera. I don't know what.
I know.
Well, because he invested in audio
I
equipment.
I invested in a very low-end cam because I figured I would later have the opportunity to get a really good low-light face over IP compatible webcam.
That's a good link. Let's talk about that.
And that's why, actually, because there's no news about that.
Because did you hear the news that it will not replace IR tracking?
Oh, that
Yeah.
news, right?
Yeah, Sean Tracy was talking about that on Reverse the Verse.
That's important, guys.
Head tracking will be a thing with face over IP, but it will not be precise.
What the hell, N-Track?
So, what in the hell is he? Did he die?
It's on the floor.
No, he can't get up.
He's glitched out. That's horrible. You're drunk as fuck. Look at this guy.
Stop drinking so much,
Holy
dude.
shit. Wow.
There it goes again.
Belgian beer.
That's great.
It's
But,
okay. I can look half through the... Holy crap, LOD, man. Look at that.
So, like Sean was saying, for looking around and spatial awareness and that stuff, the face over IP shit should be good enough. But if you want to use head tracking for targeting, he said it's the latency isn't good enough to do it. So
Yeah.
I have used Track IR to target, and it is fucking hard. Your neck starts to hurt because you're trying to move so precise.
Weird movements.
Your friggin' neck starts to tense up because you're trying to move in such small increments. Your body isn't used to that shit. What did Sean say on Reddit, Red Dawn?
I use Reddit.
Yeah, I never go to that suspect.
I mean, I mean CIG devs.
He does.
We seem to get more news from Reddit than we do from Spectrum. It's hilarious.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say something about Spectrum.
Hey, Dibs.
The over-moderation of a lot of these fucking chat protocols, Spectrum, Facebook, all this other shit that, backers try to use to communicate with each other is so overly moderated that as soon as you say something that's like 0.01% negative, they fucking moderate the shit out of you. The whole world is not sunshine and rainbows, motherfuckers. It's not. So if somebody's like seriously being a dickbag and flaming or trolling or doxing or fucking what, okay, I get it. But if you're making a critical point on anything, to be moderated because you're being critical of something is asinine. It's fucking stupid. It's such a turn off for people. You know,
crap,
you want
desync.
people to use. You want people to use Spectrum, but you want them to only paint everything in a positive light. It doesn't fucking work that way.
No, it doesn't.
You know why? Because the shit's not perfect.
But it's less hassle for them, and you know what, CAG just likes less hassle.
Well, I don't know how they're going to get constructive criticism that they were talking about when in the RTV with Chris, if they're not willing to take the criticism.
Wait, there's an
like
ice
I said,
cap?
Well, if it's presented in a certain way, this is what he did emphasize. It has to be presented.
Yeah, it has
in
to
a
be
reasonable.
like what
reasonable
everybody was bitching about this before, that if you made a critical post about Star Citizen anywhere, you had to preface it with something about, I really support the game, but. Or I love the game, but I really believe in Chris Roberts'
I hate
vision.
that so
but.
much. Yeah.
Is that new? Because this
You know,
moon seems to have an ice cap now.
it
Oh,
has a
so
nice
it does.
I don't even know what's down
Antarctica.
there. I wonder what it is.
aliens, lizardmen.
Seals? Can we club them to death?
Diamonds. You should have brought your prospector. Guaranteed there's a load of stuff down there.
Maybe they're one of those things in Star Wars.
You know,
Aliens?
Or the beasts, the things.
it's fucking Antarctica. That's where all the fucking lizard people from the alien
Penguins.
spacecraft
Penguins be down there. That's it. Emperor penguin.
Banthas. No.
Facebook groups are fucking laughable. Absolutely.
Never going near
a
that.
joke. You know, sorry for all the moderators of the Facebook world for Star Citizen and Ready Player One and the Speakeasy, but the Speakeasy is actually better than Ready Player One, but fuck. And then a moderator will say something asinine and I'll fucking call them out on it and they'll tell me to fucking not be a troll.
Okay, yeah. That's the bit that drives me bonkers. Yeah.
Like, you know what I don't need? I don't need fucking Facebook. So, fuck you. Oh yeah, this show is rated M for mature. I don't know if that was played in the thing.
It was.
So if my potty mouth offends you, I'm not really that apologetic.
But you should act mature.
I'm pretty sure that Spectrum's formatting will, it is set up like a forum, but I think that it'll change over time. That's not the issue. The issue is when people go there and post a concern, if it's not framed in just the right way that one of these fucking overzealous moderators gets a bug up their ass, your fucking shit's deleted. You get a 30-day fucking timeout. They put you in the corner. Like
that long?
Fucking seriously. We've had people from Star Citizen Base fucking temporarily banned for making critical posts. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I'm all about the fucking, if you can't take it, you should get the fuck out of the kitchen.
Yeah, but there are also people who do go over the top anyway, and you know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're dealing with people that are just straight up dickheads, or they're attacking somebody personally at that kind of level, then yeah, you need to moderate it, right? We do the same thing on the Star Citizen Base forums. We let our posts go to a point where people start motherfucking each other, and I will come and fuck your dog in the ass kind of bullshit, and then we shut the shit down. But you can let people have a little bit of banter back and forth and it not be a catastrophic event.
Exactly, yeah. We're all adults anyway. We need to allow that bit of adult to creep in, you know?
Well, motherfuckers need to grow the fuck up. Everybody's so goddamn sensitive.
But that's the problem. You see, it's easier for them just to stop it immediately.
It is.
You know?
Because then you got to follow the fucking thread and make sure it doesn't get out of control and all this stuff.
Also,
I get it.
But don't forget, but there's millions of threads as well. I don't think it'd be easy to moderate all those, you know. I mean, we need Knight Rider and SCB.
Going down.
I agree. Discombobulated. I don't know. That's funny shit, but I mean, eventually, is all this shit going to pan out? Probably. Is the tech that how to frame this? Is the concept of the tech that they're working on strong enough to do the things that they're talking about? Now, we've talked about this shit before, right? 100 times. Server meshing works. It physically works. It's already proven to work. There's already games that implemented server meshing seamlessly. You can see from server to server to server, but it's just broken down in a way that individual servers are only responsible for dealing with a localized area of entities. And the more entities that are in that area, the more servers control that area. So dual universe functions. So, and that's...
Do you want to come on? Come on here.
Yeah, dupes, we need to talk about the flight model and the changes. Oh, that's right. You don't play anymore. Never mind.
Figured.
One thing that was crazy news, though, was that John Pritchett left.
Yeah, that's sad, actually.
And apparently he left under really good terms, okay? So most of the people that watch this show will know this stuff, right? He left. Some cunt made a Glassdoor review of his time at CIG, pretending he was John, but wasn't actually John. So John had to go out on social media or somewhere and let everybody know, hey, that wasn't me. I don't do Glassdoor reviews of my employers. It was Derek. It was somebody in that camp. It was the goons. Who knows? I don't,
Well, no,
somebody in that camp.
He was saying that it was similar to Derek Smart's writing style, because he does write quite a lot, and he does have a very particular type of style. So I would believe with him.
It could be. It really, I'm not going to speculate on who did it, but somebody did it.
He does like typing. I know that.
Well, he likes fucking trolling on the internet. That's for damn sure.
But I don't know. I don't know if it's trolling. I just think he thinks he's right.
Well, everybody thinks they're right.
Yeah, but trolling is more deliberately, just without any kind of argument at all. I'm just trying to ruin people's lives. But I think Derek actually does think he's right because he's smart. He's ever so smart.
Rex, I do not think that Derek will get sued. I don't think that he's done lately anyway. He hasn't done anything lately over the last couple years to merit a lawsuit. Well, there was at one point. Remember when he was like virtual stalking Sandy or some crazy shit like that.
Sandy he was in the family.
He was being a complete nut. The ESP changes that are in 3.2.1 are okay. They're
You can get her already. No.
Who?
Dupes.
He ain't fucking coming in
he's
here.
going.
Nah,
he's a pussy.
What's
yeah,
Dupes?
remember that, Rex? It was that I stand with Sandy movement, and we all fucking jumped to her defense and shit. And then wasn't he given a court order to fucking cease and desist?
That's right.
Yeah. So
yeah.
With the whole escapist magazine bullshit and all this craziness. So, there's obviously some fucking nuts out there in the world that you got to watch out for. But I don't understand. You know what? I don't really understand because it's just a fucking video game. That's all it is. What is the big fucking deal?
It's not. This is personal. That's the problem. It's personal to him. This is a 25-year-old problem that he has with Chris Roberts.
No.
Oh, gosh. Oh, no way. Oh, no, it's still there. Still there.
Oh
still there.
God. If it fucking sinks in the snow and you can't get it back, that's going to be so perfect.
Hunker down.
Here.
You better get it.
Hunker down.
Bye, gone.
I was trying to give it to him, but I mean, it keeps doing that.
Well, you do it in the ship, not on the fucking ground.
What? Why not?
Because
it's supposed to work.
Why not? That was so good.
Ship sink through it, so
it's my special edition Gamescom.
Yeah, you'll lose your shit for sure. Oh my god, that was fucking almost classic.
I can't do it here though. Oops.
He left without you.
let's try this again.
Oh.
Just for
But what was he saying?
What, in the green door?
Oh, the ESP stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so back to the John Pritchett leaving thing. According to what they were saying in Reverse the Verse, that John has actually been training someone to take his place for a couple months now, and this guy is relatively up to speed. He obviously didn't build the system, which I don't necessarily think is that big of a deal, because if the guy who built the system teaches you how the system works, you should be good enough to
he has it.
manipulate the system.
You can, so you can just hand over weapons. You can drop it and then give it to someone else.
Yeah, that's a cool addition. But yeah, he wrote he quoted himself as a Bible for next people to use. So he's obviously written ahead as well, I think. For the next person to take the lead.
Easy Mac and Spam says, "What's up with this guy Juntao that's not even playing?"
Well,
I don't know.
Antrack,
What's up with that guy that's not even playing?
Yeah, he's just a waster there in the
You
corner,
hold-
looking good.
You need to.
I'm the guy with the big fucking mouth.
Actually, there's this thing that I noticed was implemented in the last patch as well. I didn't even until I accidentally did it. You can just hold the interaction mode key, F, and then put your cursor over the weapon, and you can do stuff with it, like drop.
What does he look like he's going to charge at you?
That's another bug because he doesn't.
His feet are cold.
He's just standing still. It doesn't do that for him.
He
But
looks like he's a bull,
It's a weird thing.
We were where the hell were we the other day? We were on a moon.
For some reason, I can't equip a pistol either.
I don't remember where we were, but we were fucking around for hours and hours and hours streaming. And if you stand for too long, this is what your character starts doing. It's weird.
You can get it in a thought. It's supposed to work like that, just like you would use an item.
That's good stuff. The game is just, or the alpha anyway, is just wrought with fucking weird ass bugs. And some of them are funny, and some of them are annoying as fuck.
Oh yeah.
All right, then you can keep the gun. Then you can't even drop it. I don't care. I have another one anyway. I think.
What do you think of ATV?
5-minute ATV.
I don't like it.
It was like a newsflash thing. It wasn't ATV.
Yeah.
It's like 3.2 is. Oh, nice. We knew what most of they said anyway.
Yeah, I have to say, was disappointed with it.
I mean, it depends really, because we haven't seen the full layout of how they're going to start presenting information. We've just got that little bit. We got ATV, we got RTV. Okay, well, if you're used to ATV and RTV, ATV was generally 30-ish minutes long, and RTV was an hour recapping what they fucking said in ATV. Now they're going in a totally different direction. What I thought was funny was RTV had nothing to go back to for ATV, so Jared seemed like he was so uncomfortable, out of place, didn't know what he was going to do. He had nothing.
It would actually remind me of the old Reverse the Verse when they used to wing it.
It was more like a happy hour.
Yeah, happy hour, that's one, yeah.
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 And he said he wanted to bring back some of that stuff, like the happy hour game dev, where they showed how to build something or whatever, which was, I liked that stuff. I liked it.
It was fun, yeah.
Yeah, especially when they put a spider penis on a fucking male character model. That was funny.
That was hilarious. But yeah, no, 5 minutes is far too short. I'm sorry.
It felt wrong.
I felt cheated, should we say, as a subscriber. I felt cheated.
Well, that's funny, because that is a comment from the ATV YouTube section that said, if this continues this way, I'm going to stop subscribing, because I don't think I'm going to get my value. So, and there were a few of those comments in there, which I get it,
Just a little bit longer, that's all. or a bit more content somewhere else if they still want to keep it 5 minutes.
Well, I actually noticed that Lawmaker's Guide, of what, like for one episode or maybe two, was it in the ATV because they decided to put it in there as a section, and then suddenly this week it was back on its own slot.
Well, because I think they were using
Why?
Lore Makers as a filler for ATVs that they didn't have content for. Because to be honest, this is a weekly fucking show, right? ATV. There's not huge updates every week. There's just not.
No, there'd be good weeks and bad weeks. We know that.
You know, so maybe that's part of the reason for the change is they're like, it's really too difficult to fucking scrounge up information.
But did it actually hint that's as even with Squadron 42 comes more and more prominence within their group, it's taken over, I think, most of their time now. So they're not going to reveal that in any way, shape, or form. So I think we are starting to see less and less PU stuff, and because they're doing more and more of the single player campaign.
Now, Folostan says that he liked the RTV some years ago when it was just Ben and Lando and those guys just hanging out and talking to chat. Now, I agree, but there was a problem with that. And the problem with that, it was not professional, and
half of the stuff they
talked about wasn't accurate because they were just kind of winging it, and they didn't really have a Chris Roberts stamp of approval for some of the things that they said, so they had to retract some things, you know, and look at the LTI debacle that continues today. You know, LTI was supposed to be for early backers only, then it was supposed to be for fucking concepts only, and then it was supposed to be something else. Wingman's Hangar was crazy. There was nothing that happened in Wingman's Hangar. It was fucking Eric getting drunk.
That was actually before my time, mostly.
Was it?
I have to say this before mine as well. I joined just shortly after.
I
think it was on when I joined. I just didn't watch anything. Who was the guy that
did his camera work?
Camera? I thought you set up a webcam.
They had a video producer at that time that was a completely different guy. Michael Moreland? Yeah, Michael Moreland. And he went on and tried to do his own little YouTube channel.
Oh.
Well, Tom Hennessy was there too, but Michael Moreland was like his cohort and did some video production stuff and everything. He was the tall. The skinny black guy is still there. Justin Chambers.
Is it Chambers? Okay.
Isn't that his last name?
He's mostly still edits the videos, I think.
He's a video editor, yeah.
Good video editor.
Yeah, the book guy, Ban Chow. The guy that used to do like sitting in front of a fireplace talking about Star Citizen, some crazy stories and shit like that. Michael Moreland, it was fucking crazy. And he moved on. He couldn't get his channel off the ground because Star Citizen obviously doesn't have that big of a following, you know, unless you're doing Noobifier type shit or Board Gamer type shit or some of these better, whatever you want to call. I don't know. They're not newscasters, but whatever the hell you would call them.
Dedicated backers.
I can't do
they
anything.
Pump out stuff every day or something like that.
That's crazy shit when you're trying to make a fucking everything around just what's going on with Star Citizen. Like some of these streamers that are dedicated or were dedicated to Star Citizen, there's just not enough. Like, I don't know. Is Captain Richard still a straight up dedicated Star Citizen streamer?
Oh, shit, I don't think he has.
Not exclusively, though.
I've seen
those other games now.
Yeah. Which is understandable, you know.
Well, they're going to have to, right?
Yeah, you can only be sane for too long, you know. You have to go somewhere else.
I agree, Dupes. There's not enough game. You know, if people don't want to watch other people just play Arena Commander, you know, 2 hours a day for an indefinite amount of time, you know. Which is why I think for us personally, this once a week format works because we'll just get together and talk shit about Star Citizen and try to figure out the news and try to theory craft about where we think that this project's actually going to end up. Yeah, watching a Call of Duty or Counter-Strike streamer. Oh my God.
Oh, no way. Yeah, I suppose if people watch that, they'll watch anything.
But Captain Richard's a good streamer, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know?
He's tight. He's professional, and
And he's fucking funny.
he's funny.
And he generally knows what the fuck he's talking about. So that, Baron, I don't know what the hell he's been up to. I haven't seen him around in a while. I'm sure he's still streaming. He knows what he's talking about. Good with his chat and all that shit. Unlike the Star Citizen based roundtable.
Yeah, those people are just wackos.
We took the whole
just winged
we're
it.
professionals in a totally fucking different direction. It actually became a meme.
What else happened? I can't remember now.
Not a whole hell of a lot. I know that I watched RTV and I was watching Todd Pappy play. He was trying to
Oh, that's right.
he was trying to get over and mine. That was painful to watch. That was just painful to watch. And they probably don't have as much time on their hands as a lot of the backers do at actually getting in there and figuring out how their own systems work, but that's pretty savage. The live game director, and he's like struggling to fucking mine. Yeah, there was some ESP tuning, and that's what I was going to say before, is they brought it up in RTV this week that there is currently a guy that's still working on it because it's not where they want it to go. Can I hit better now as a dual joystick pilot than I could before? Yes. Is it too tight? I think it could be tighter.
Oh, it can be tighter. Oh, yes.
So, I don't know. It was really bad in 3.1. It was ESP was really fucked up in 3.1 to the point where I think they disabled it. But 3.2 is actually a lot better, and I think like full of Stan saying in the current PTU they're doing a lot of tweaks to the system to try to get it even tighter. So that's the trick. How are you going to get? I do like everything tighter. Haha, fucker. Fucking fast cart with his goddamn jokes, this guy. What was I going to say? Oh, how are you going to create a quote unquote more level playing field between the mouse users that have that extreme precision and joystick pilots that have better flyability with less precision in aiming? That's the trick. They're never going to get it like 1-on-1 to 100% even. It's just never going to happen, but they got to get it as close as they can. And gamepad users, I'm sorry, you're fucked.
That's just dumb. I never understood why Chris Roberts demoed his game playing flying Hornet with a gamepad.
Yeah, but it's all to do with practice. If you practice enough on the gamepad.
If you practice enough with any input controller, you will be proficient at it. I would think, but somebody's always going to have the advantage,
Yeah, but for Star Citizen, you know that you're in a ship. You need so many buttons to do everything already. There's so many stuff you can do in the ship. You need so many buttons already, and the gamepad has the biggest limitation there. It just doesn't have many buttons. Otherwise,
and it's not easy enough for you to reach your keyboard.
In most games, they fix those sort of problems with what do they call this? Control wheels, something like that. They have some sort of a menu that pops open when you hold a button, and then you can use the stick key, the joystick thing on the thumbstick to select what you want to do. But I mean that's a whole different.
Well, it's another option. You can hold down a button, then that means every other button then is a different function.
Yeah,
so you can do that on a joypad.
It's fixable in some ways. It just needs a lot of keybind programming there.
If you're like the super epic Street Fighter gamepad guy where you could do the multiple combos with 5 buttons and all this shit, then you could probably play Star Citizen and figure it out, because that's what it's going to take. It'll be like,
Can you imagine that in the game?
fuck
Is it,
that, dude.
is it frozen or something? Keeps going, popping back. Look at that.
Oh, it looks like that, yeah.
You keep
I've
doing
seen that, yeah.
They're not moving forward, just...
Well, I can see the streak still, but it could also be your camera. I don't know. Move your camera.
No.
Move your camera.
Nope.
Okay.
They hit a gravity bubble, and it just keeps flinging them back into space a little bit.
Or is Entrax disconnected? I don't know.
He said we're still going forwards towards Jumptown.
So that means it's you then.
You're desynced.
Mm.
Yeah, he's stuck in a time loop. That's fucking weird. So many things to fix in so little time.
Oh, so little time. Good.
Well, according to everybody else that I keep talking to, they don't understand why it's, where are we? 2018. The game was initially announced in late 2013. Game development probably started late 2014-ish, mid to late 2014, right?
Now the ship has lights.
So we're probably 4.5 years into actual game development.
I say less, since they did a fundamental change. So.
Well, and that's true that the game restarted, and I think that Chris brought that up, didn't he, on RTV? That, or somebody brought that up, that changing it really fucking threw everything off. But unfortunately, CryEngine wasn't built to do what they're trying to do. It looks really good, but it just wasn't built. And I don't think any game engine at the time was built. What are you pinging me with, motherfucker? Yeah. He told you that a half hour ago. Fuck.
What?
So busy
What?
typing, he wasn't listening.
Who's this?
Dupes. Oh, yeah, I had a phone call. Excuse me, you're so fucking important now. Jesus. So I've been just going through the chat as we're going, just paying attention to the chat because we had nothing planned for today, and then the rest of the crew kind of ditched us at the very last minute, which was really cute.
Trailers.
I know. Like, fucking whatever anymore. But yeah, we're in the Base Discord live channel, dude, so you should maybe
Pop in.
You have access, yeah.
I think he does.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, well, Rex got on and said, I'm exhausted. I can't do it. You know what? That's fine. Because we've seen T.O. fall asleep in the chair before when he's really tired. And it's really fucking late in Norway.
He's not a crew member.
Well, he can get into one of the other...
He's not a crew member. I don't remember us doing that.
Well, you probably got pissed at him and fucking...
Oops, his little golf.
After we fucking flew you to Europe and you just disappear, you're like, fuck these guys.
Let's just give him the thing back.
Something about a brand new gaming computer and all this stuff.
There we go.
Fucking...
He probably spent it on golf and gear.
Oh yeah, there's he fucking pawned the fucking super mega awesome PC that we fucking sent him so he could buy golf clubs.
Hold on, my brain just got confused. I was listening to the stream and you guys at the same time, and
oh, you can't do that.
I'm a little rusty.
That's what she said.
That is what she said.
I know.
No, you've been salty this entire time today.
You think so?
Salty?
Yeah, I think you have
salty.
been. No,
That's
I'm
him.
proud of you.
And
No. Going back to what you're talking about, though. So think about this, right? Like 2016 CitizenCon, when they announced the trailer for Squadron 42, right? This is, and you got to remember, like, why I backed Star Citizen was for the combat aspect. I don't care about the exploration or any of that bullshit or building bases or any of that crap. I care about the combat. And so 2016 gets announced as that's when they're going to be releasing it. And then that's when they also released 2.0. And pretty much borked since 2.0 for the most part is when all the participation and the combat mechanics started to suffer and go down since then. And so the fact that they announced that at that same time that that's happening, that they're going to announce that the game is going to come out in 2016 for the single player combat story portion of the game.
While the flight model's all fucking broken.
While the flight model's all fucked up.
They're all busy working on other things.
Well.
Right, yeah.
Sure, but they announced themselves that 2016 is when they're gonna knock the flight combat down, and it's not like that had to be added. That stuff had to be added into the game. Like the flight model just had to be tuned. It's all in there. Look at what Pritchett brought out with the Nubifier. It's not like he's added a lot of systems other than atmospheric flight, and maybe like a couple levels in 42 may have had to been tuned because there's atmospheric variables to deal with in the flight model. But I mean, that's where my salt comes from, because the fact of the matter is they announced it at 16, right? And it's one thing to announce at 16 and be late by 6 months, a year. But when now we're coming up at 3 years, you know, we're going on 2 years, going to be 3. And then now we're even sure it's going to be out in 2018 or 19 or 20. Now we're going on 4 years late. How do they even expect the combat to come? You know, like that's my problem. And now they just have an ESP patch, and their first try at the ESP is like, it's not well received. Like I said, I don't play the game anymore because combat's been broken for so long. Like that's where my enjoyment came.
Who have you been keeping up with?
What's that?
Who have you been keeping up with? Mal and XLV and those guys?
I just read. I see I remember all the pilots I used to fly against, and a lot of them are still active in the forums. Like I recognize their names, and you'll like if you go to that ESP thread, for instance. There's a lot of them that were there 2-3 years ago that are playing that still comment on the flight model. I don't have the patience anymore to do it. You know, like I can't do it. So I thought it was better.
And what the hell was it? 1.8 when we were really hardcore playing Arena Commander all the fucking time. So was that like 1.8 or something like that?
So the pinnacle of the flight model was 1.3. If
it is
for most
people, Rex.
It is me. Sorry. I come in, I take over. This is what I used to do. Sorry, guys, if you don't like me. But yeah, the pinnacle was 1.3. That was when you had the highest participation. You had the most amount of people playing the game. It was only Arena Commander, but at the time, it was a lot of fun. You had a lot of streamers at the time that were hyped. We had the money was flowing. There was just a lot of hype around the game, and the game was playing surprisingly well. But during that time, the main debate was the difference between interactive mode and mouse and stick pilots, which goes back to the ESP, right? And it was the aiming. And it's actually funny because I came out with a video. I made a video of one of my old units, and it was like when Mission was in Imperium and all this stuff. And it had highlighted 4 pilots, and if you look at the 4 pilots, 3 of them were mouse, but 2 of them flied interactive mode. 1 flew relative, and 1 was a joystick, which was me. And if you watched all 4 of those different clips, they all had different flight patterns. They all played the game differently. But you could also tell there was a huge disparity between mouse aim and joystick aim. If you watch the video, you can see like my aim compared to the 3 mouse users was crazy. But at the same time, even with that disparity, is when we all had the most amount of fun playing it. Yeah, we were all vocal, but we were passionate at the time. And that's why there was a lot of debate about it. But compared to if I had to choose between what it is today and what it was back then, I would much rather take it back then. Because right now with combat, they tell you to go test in the PU, but in the PU, it's okay. Well, you got to claim a ship. Hopefully, you don't get griefed if you're parked at Grimhex. So then, if that makes hopefully your loadout is actually even attached to your ship properly. Then on top of that, you're factoring with desync, and I mean, like, there's just so many variables you have to go through just to get into a combat situation properly. And then you factor in, you know, like, okay, it's an M50 versus a Starfarer. You know, like that's not right. It's not something you come into the PU, but it wasn't it's just not viable anymore to test combat. And they're talking about building 42 right now, where it's focused on combat. That's what 42 is about. It's not about mining. It's not about exploration. It's not about you know, jump points or any of that shit that people say is pushing this game out. You know, what's pushing
but I think that the pilots,
is the AI.
The pilots right now are saying that the ships fly better. Like the actual flight characteristics.
Yes. The flight characteristics have improved, but the
aiming portion of it.
But the ESP is still completely broken now, which is still part. if
I
you're a
told
joystick
you a long
user-
time ago that you should have moved your fucking ass to LA and got a job at CIG and sat down with John while he was
So-
writing code, and you could have
No,
stroked
yeah,
him. You could have gave him a
stop,
reach around and
stop,
relaxed him a little bit.
Stop. Okay, I would have. I would have probably.
I know you
swallowed,
would have, but anyways.
but so one thing you have to notice though is that, do you guys know who Bayor of Red? Does that name ring a bell?
Bayer?
Bayer.
Yeah.
He's,
What you see his title? You see his title, Player Relations, in the forums. He was one of those top pilots back in the day. He was top 5 pilots in the game. He got hired into SIG. He's the one that made the ESP push, the ESP post about the patch coming out. So they don't need a person like me, and they don't need a person like me. And I'm not even very good. I'm not good anymore. I was decent at one point, but not anymore.
No good look.
But they did hire somebody like that. But
Well, if they just would have kept the golf swing in there for you, you would have been okay.
Just a side note here. This is one of those desks.
It is.
The problem is the flight characteristics are good now, but you still can't hit shit, which makes the game not worth logging in for at least me. Right.
Yeah, and I think that you're not the only one that feels that way, which is why they're making a concerted effort to try to figure that shit out.
And generally speaking, the people that, and this is a generalization I'm going to make, but I believe it's true, is that generally the people that were competitive and played Arena Commander were also the people who played the game the most.
Yes. Oh, at
For
that
sure.
point in time, absolutely.
And I think, and that crowd would be more than willing to play this game if there was engaging combat in the PU to partake in. And your numbers would go up, the participation would go up, bug reports would go up across the board. You know
what's funny about that though, Dupes, is I pay attention to like a lot of different people talking, and the persistent universe crowd at this point in time, because of the mechanics that are actually in the game, they want to be left the fuck alone. They want to be playing a single player game.
No, exactly. That's why you have 5 Facebook groups, because that's also the same fucking crowd that doesn't want to get griefed and can't handle the fact that this is a game focused around combat, whether you like it or not.
Absolutely. And you see the same posts that I have on Facebook.
Yeah, that's the fucking problem. That's the main problem is there's all these people who don't want to be bothered and only be in PvE or whatever, and that's not what gives the game tension. Like, the main gameplay of Star Citizen is combat. Like, everything is centered around that. It truthfully is. Even exploration, right? Part of exploring is the fact that you could run into a dangerous situation and possibly get into combat. That's why you need things like escorts, which creates jobs, Even mining, right? When you mine, you're going to have to... People are already bitching about being griefed when they're mining.
Oh, shit.
So, again, it's all
centered...
centered around combat. It truthfully is all centered around combat. If there was anything to get right first, it would be combat.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I agree. They have to get it right first, because that is one of there's 2 key holdups, in my opinion, for Squadron 42 is the flight combat and the FPS combat. They don't have
I don't think the combat
FPS
is
AI.
holding
Well,
up.
you're going to spend more time on the ground than you think you are. I think.
Well, yeah, first person combat, yes. But flight combat, as far as flight combat goes, they just have to tune it, truthfully. They just have to tune the ships and how they want them to feel. Maybe there's a little bit more work as far as the aiming mechanisms of the game.
Sure.
As far as between, a relative mode mouse pilot, a joystick pilot, dual stick, all that kind of stuff. That there's a little bit more that goes into it. ESP, I think, is a tougher animal. I don't think a lot of people even know what ESP is, first off. Like, does anybody even know what ESP stands for?
In the game?
The term ESP, yes.
I do not understand what the acronym is, but I know what the mechanic is.
Enhanced Stick Precision is what ESP stands for. And basically what it does...
Targeting assist.
Is it's the equivalent of an aim assist, right? Like, and games do aim assist differently. On consoles, sometimes you don't have to put the marker right on the player to hit that player. That's a form of aim assist on consoles at FPS. Like, you don't have to be as pinpoint with on a mouse. Sometimes aim assist it pulls your aim in, which is kind of what Star Citizen does, but it doesn't pull your aim in. What it does is it takes a snapshot of like your XY coordinates of your aim, and then it sees the trajectory that you're on, and it tries to pull your translation to match where you would need to arrive in order to hit the target. Now, the problem is with ESP is that it'll start pulling you, and then the moment you get close enough, it'll let you go. And this is where the patch is at currently, is that whenever it lets you go, you're throwing your stick so much that it's like somebody letting go of your arm and you punching somebody in the face.
Sure, you're
overshoot,
overshooting.
And you overshoot. Then on top of that, you also have problems where now you throw in things like desync in the PU on top of that,
Right. Yeah.
and it's even worse. You know, so
but
for a
all
lot
these
of
are
people,
problems that they're well aware of, you know, but there's not everything could be fixed simultaneously. You know, like we talk, if you're talking desync in the PU could, and we were talking about this, I think, before you got here, theoretically should be resolved according to their theory on how object container streaming and network bind calling are going to limit the data flow between server to client to server to client. So if that functions the way that they think it's going to, which, you know, you don't know, I don't know, I don't think they know if it's actually going to be the end all be all fix for the desync issue. But if it does, then that's a good thing.
Well, this is the point though that I'm getting to. Rex, I used to be on the show. I did the show for like 2 years, and then I lost my goddamn mind, basically.
Couldn't handle me.
But the problem, and this is the general base argument that you will get as to why Arena Commander still matters today. Because the PU, right? So eventually you have to have the Arena Commander grow into something more than what it is. Its little bubble of Arena. It doesn't represent what combat is, you know, from the PU standpoint. But from a testing standpoint, from a tuning the flight model and how the ships feel standpoint, it is completely relevant. And when the PU doesn't serve as an environment for players to actually give accurate feedback to how the flight combat feels and the flight model feels, people would rather go into, and this is what a lot of pilots did, when the PU was running like shit and you get 20 frames, you can't honestly give a good feedback on how the flight model feels if you're only flying in the PU. You'll get a better representation if you're in Arena Commander or if you're in Free Flight, where you get the better frames, you're avoiding those desync issues, and you have a better.
Well, that's why all the competition stuff occurred within Free Flight, because it just performed way better than anything else.
Right. So people will argue that, well, Arena Commander doesn't represent what the PU combat's supposed to be, blah 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 blah. But that's not what people are saying. People that would agree with you that it doesn't represent the combat, but people will disagree with you in that we can do a better job of finding out where the ships actually are behaving and feeling, and you can test weapons easier. Because think about, like, if you want to just go out and test weapons, right? You don't go to the PU to test weapons, because think about what you got to do. First, you got to go to whatever place sells that current weapon. Well, first you have to make sure you have the UEC to buy that weapon. So you have to go earn that UEC, which could be a hassle based off of bugs and storing, depending on what kind of ships you own. Then from there, you have to buy the weapons. And then depending on where you have to go to buy the weapons, you could get grief, which could cause a couple play sessions. Then you have the issues of once you equip the weapons, your ship could bug out, you know, servers crashing with all that. Then you go into an environment where you're actually going to find to shoot something. And then if it's just, you know, if it's a Starfarer versus an M50, what can you really test as far as weapon balance goes with an M50 for the most part against, you know, Starfarer shields, for instance?
Just to make sure the M50 can't blow up the
Starfarer. Think about all those steps that you have to go through just to say test out one weapon in the PU. You know?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, that's the whole.
And that's why a month ago, I think it was, or what have you, Chris Roberts specifically stated that they feel that they have done themselves and the community a disservice by not paying enough attention to two things: Star Marine and Arena Commander, and that they were going to try to focus a little bit more on making those better play environments for, I believe,
it's exactly
not.
I don't even think it's
talking about.
Right. I don't even think it's necessarily play environment. I think it's just the fact that if they rolled out some flight tuning patches to balance ships a little bit and give people a better way to give feedback for how ships and weapons are currently balanced.
Yeah, but unfortunately, what happened?
It'll help the PU side of it as well. Most people will argue it's the opposite. Most people
but think
argue
about what happened, right? There aren't that many physics programmers. Actually, there was one physics programmer that was specifically dedicated.
Nothing has to be programmed anymore into it. They don't have to write any more of the flight model. They just have to plug in different.
Shut the fuck up for a second and listen. Jesus Christ!
I'm getting out a year and a half.
I know, right? It's all built up. It's fine, but listen, because this is going to make sense. Pritchett spent a lot of time because Planetary Tech came online and they had the Dragonfly and the Nox and all this shit implemented in game for people to fuck around with that didn't fucking work at all. They didn't work at all. You got on a Nox and it shot you into fucking space. So he took all of his energy to figure out how to make those function, and he did. You know, so
sure, and that. But my point is that
it took away from what you would have liked
No,
to see
but
done
see,
because
you're
he was working
confusing.
on something different.
You're confusing it though. Pritchett was not in charge of balancing. Pritchett was in charge of building the flight model. The
Well,
flight
and
model
he
has
did
been
all the
built.
tweaks to the
Right.
flight model. There
No,
wasn't anybody else working on that.
that was Alix. That was other game. That was designers. Pritchett did not adjust the values and make the ships change the ship's balance. I'm serious. Like no,
Somebody's
that's
handing out Valium in chat, brother.
I know, right? Dude, you don't understand how much this
No,
is.
it's
Like,
fine.
I'm like a guy
It's
who
a
hasn't had
big
sex
fucking
in 2
deal. I
years.
get
I
it.
got a nut. You know what I
Jesus
mean?
Christ.
I got a nut right now.
But
Versus in discussion. But yeah, so no, Pritchett built the model. The model's been built for a while, right? Could there be improvements on some of the aiming mechanics? Sure. But for the flight model and how ships feel, that's all been done. It's been done for a while. That's
so
why
you're
they were able
saying
to.
that these guys that we've seen on like ATV that we're talking about ship balancing and all this stuff are responsible for
Yes.
adjusting the values.
Pritchett, even in the forum that he made a post before he left the day before about because he made a doc and Nubify went over it, and then Pritchett answered any questions about the flight model that people had for him. And one of the things that came out of that discussion with Pritchett before he left was that he doesn't handle the balance and tuning changes. He builds the things, right? Like you said, if the GravLev system, he had to build that. That's a new addition to the flight model that he had to add. The atmospheric stuff, he had to build those things for the thruster values to account. But as far as how ships are tuning and balance, he had nothing to do with that. That was just simply designers. And he even said he disagreed with how some of the design choices that they've made so far using his flight model. But all it is plugging in numbers and changing values at this point for most of the ships.
Well, I really don't understand this aspect of it, right? There was a point in time where you and Mal and Bayor and fucking maybe like 10 to 14 different really good fucking pilots were making extremely detailed posts because they sat down and they dug into how the fuck the flight model works.
And they played the game so much.
And you were talking about mechanics that I didn't even fucking understand that existed. You know, the jerk values and all this stuff. Fucking, I don't need to know that. But they got it, and they made these detailed posts, and everybody got pissed off because
everybody would spin it as
CIG
if
wasn't listening.
No, right. And then on top of that, you would also have infighting between the PvEers saying that the PvPers are trying to, make this game Twitch shooter and blah, 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 when that wasn't the case. The fact of the matter is that at the time, the PvPers were the ones who had the most experience with the flight model. And that truthfully, unfortunately, because the combat went away, a lot of the old PvPers that played a lot don't anymore. There's still some. Malagos will still make a post every now and then. You'll see Citizen Gamer and Jarvis every now and then put stuff. Whitesnake will put a tutorial video out every now and then. He hasn't done one in a while. But they're few and far between. But there's some people that pretty much a lot of the pilots now lurk. And they'll pop up when you see certain threads come alive, like on Reddit, like with Malagos' post recently, or the Pritchett post. And so, but the problem is going back to it, is that a lot of the PvEers would argue that the PvPers were trying to make this game all about PvP and that.
Doesn't that seem counterintuitive to you? It really seems counterintuitive to me that would be the thought process behind listening to people who fly this game.
No, of course,
countless amount of hours, because whether or not you want to engage in PvP is completely irrelevant, because you will engage in fucking combat, period. And combat is combat. AI combat, player versus player combat is combat. So if the problem and the precision of aiming is functional on a really micro level for a PvPer, doesn't that also translate to PvE?
The problem is that some of these pilots would come across in forums as talking down to them, and because they didn't play enough. I know, and that helps.
You guys are all a bunch of cocky fucking pricks.
That helped to breed it too, but at the same time too, there's professional athletes who practice for years and they get good, and they're allowed to be confident because they practice, they put in the time to be confident. Now, does it make it right to treat people like shit and talk down to them? No, but it is what it is. We're all human. That's going to happen. With confidence comes arrogance sometimes. But regardless of whatever you feel of how a person is and how they act towards you, their general feedback and knowledge, you cannot deny if it's right or if it's true. And that's the problem. Or that was the problem back in the day anyways. Now nobody really plays anymore because like I said, comment's been broken for so long. Like I have probably 300 hours in Star Citizen. I have not put more than 40-minute I'll say 5 hours in this game within the last 2 years, because combat's been broken. But I still have over 300 hours in, which is still, and that's of actual playing the game, not sitting there crashing and going through stupid bugs and just laughing about it. It's like actually playing the game competitively is how most of my time was spent.
Yes, eating it.
N-track. If you can't get a landing pad, just land in the courtyard somewhere. I don't care, or on the ground outside.
That and making that stupid YouTube video. I don't remember what it's called. Fucking forget it.
It's a Dupe Sims, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I just kind of I remember the names of people, and I look for them and what they're saying with current patches, and I go off of that feedback because I
so
trust
currently
them.
they don't feel that it's headed in the right direction, or they do feel it's headed in the right direction.
So currently the ships feel better in 3.2, like the responsiveness.
That's what I heard.
But the ESP patch, and for me that's my main thing, because I play with joysticks. Without ESP, the game is not playable for the way I want to play it. So this ESP patch finally came out, and ESP's been broken for a long time, like a year over. It's been broken for a while now.
Tap 5 to turn your lights on.
But as it stands now, they just did a first PTU patch to the ESP, and it was not well received. Not well received that like they're bashing the designers, but just saying they're, like I said, if you go to the thread, you want to see great feedback, go to that. I mean, if you want, I'll link it in chat. But go to that thread and look at it. Like, people are posting videos from like the difference between like a 2.6 patch of ESP and this 3.2 patch. They even put captions in when they with their thoughts during their aiming. Like, you want to talk about good feedback? This is how people do it, and kudos to those pilots that have been playing all this time, that have the patience for it, and have still been putting those discussions in, because a lot of us have given up.
Yeah, but to be fair, you moved on for different reasons as well, not just the fact that the game was fucking pissing you off.
Yeah, and I never stopped following the game either.
Oh, look, it's a fucking free buggy.
So, but yeah, right now flying feels better for ships.
That guy's like, get the fuck away from me.
ESP is still broken and makes aiming with joysticks still incredibly difficult, if not impossible.
Dude, can I ask you a question? Do you not like goofing around in the game at all?
Oh yeah, I used to. I did. You never seen my YouTube project?
I know, I remember.
You want to see me goofing around?
Uncanny?
Oh yeah, Uncanny Citizens. That's what it was called.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, we got so bent out of shape because the fucking ships wouldn't stay still on the landing pads.
Oh
and that's
shit!
That's what fucking broke it.
I goofed around too. I goofed around quite a bit in the game, but I didn't like playing the game for 5 hours where we're laughing about a box being stuck to our hand. That wasn't entirely enjoyable to me. I felt like I was truthfully wasting my time with my life, like in those kinds of moments.
You were truthfully wasting your time with your life, just like you are at this very fucking moment.
Sure, that's true. We all choose what we want to waste our life on.
Absolutely.
I don't think Android can sell his stuff if it's not landed properly on a landing
I don't think
pad.
so.
Wouldn't register.
Well, I could tell you earlier today we did some mining. A bunch of us, we had 4 prospectors out, and we did some mining, and we couldn't sell anywhere. It showed the cargo, but it showed $0 value. And when you're talking 15% gold, that's $3 grand.
That mining thing's got me. Like, remember, I was the biggest spouter about them getting new mechanics in. Remember, I would always use mining as an example.
Yeah,
so it's great that mining's in, right? But I don't agree. If you Google search Uncanny Citizens Rodimus, I think it'll probably pop up. But if you think about it as well, though, they also put the mechanic behind a paywall. Which
at this point they have, yes.
So you want to talk about SIG shooting themselves in the foot? For it being an alpha, there's a lot of times where they don't treat it like an alpha. And right, you pledge for ships to own, and it's a way of supporting development, and you get a ship in advance. But at the same time, too, if you're putting a new mechanic in the game online,
they should have just made the ship available to all backers.
Wouldn't you just loan it at least for this patch, maybe, or just loan it for a set period of time for anybody to go out and try it, and so they can get their 2 cents in on mining and any ideas, as opposed to putting it behind a paywall? Like, I think you give more ammo to all the detractors and that whole crowd, and I just don't see if the whole point's to build the best game possible. Wouldn't you want the most feedback possible? Yeah, you got to muddle through all the noise, but you can generally.
Yeah,
find
but
good
do you
feedback.
think do you think that's intentional that mining's in and they're like, oh, we'll get a bunch of people to buy prospectors, or do you think that it's just kind of like an oversight on their part that they're like not thinking
they
the
know their
same way that
metrics.
you are?
They know their metrics, so they know how many people own, how many active players own the ship currently that are playing the game. So they, maybe looking at their metrics tells a story that they probably think they have enough players in the game, but that could provide feedback. But again, that still doesn't just because
Just
a player
because someone
plays the
owns
game,
a prospector doesn't
mean they play the game, and just because they play the game doesn't mean they're going to write feedback in Spectrum either.
Sure.
That's why I figure from if you're going fishing, you want to cast as many lines as possible to catch a fish. Wouldn't it be the same way for feedback? Get as many hands on it as possible. Yeah, there's a couple different ways to get the prospector with loaners and stuff too, but generally speaking, you can't. If you own an Aurora package right now and you're back to this game, you can't mine.
No, and you would think that, right? If the mechanic is good, which it is.
Could you wreck it? Could you wreck it? At least.
What's that?
I don't know. Is wreck even in the game anymore?
Well, the ships aren't loanable yet. They're not purchasable yet. So
on the rec store.
No, I remember. Yeah, the rec store. You remember how you used to be able to rent stuff and you try it in Arena Commander. Could you rent the prospector? And
I haven't tried. I have enough rec to find out.
Find a friend.
I will look right now.
So
I have fucking million.
So you could still use rec, but you could only go through Arena Commander, so you couldn't even actually test the mining mechanic. So technically, you could fly
is
the
that how
ship
that
at
works?
least. Well, can you go into Arena Commander and go into the PU?
I don't know. I don't fucking try that shit.
No, you cannot. Arena Commander is based off of the Arena Commander maps. So you could so technically you could still fly the prospector for free by earning rec through playing broken game modes like Arena Commander and Star Marine, which see where I'm getting at here?
Yeah.
and then you can earn the ship for free and then play it in a little mini map where the map is not built for the ship, therefore you can't even test the mechanic out. Tell me again, and I think part of it's oversight. I think part of it too is that SIG's been building on systems for so long, whether it comes to rec or buyback tokens or all that kind of crap. That there can be loopholes and there's also holes that they can't fill. Rodimus, that video I made with Calexa.
Way back in the day.
Alexis. Long ago.
I think Rod was the one I was asking about earlier if Calexis was around.
He was.
Yeah, that's why I told him to say hi to Calexis for me.
Well,
the last time I talked to Cal, he was bent out of shape, boy. He was mad as fuck about something. I'm not exactly sure. So I'm looking at the rec store and I do not see the Prospector as a rentable ship.
Yeah, so you can't even rent it for free. But that would be the only way. So think about it, right? So one of the Reddit posts that Malagos made a little while ago was to, change the Arena Commander to be a little bit more of a PU sense. Maybe give a little bit an area on a map on one of the planets, even if it's just a slice. Where you could then rent the Prospector and test out the Prospector in that environment. But that was the point of. Hey, why'd you say, "Oh God"?
You can't get out of the fucking hangar with this Herald.
Yeah, that's the why.
You got to request to exit now.
You have to request it, yeah.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't open automatically. You got to go through the flight people.
Silly twat.
Dude, I'm afraid. I'm afraid to watch this video. I haven't watched it in so long.
Oh, the Uncanny Citizens is funny as fuck.
All I remember is that we cursed like sailors. That's all I remember.
You guys should pick that back up. That would be fun.
We were halfway through making the second episode. Just to give you an idea, we were the first to do a Rooster Teeth Star Citizen before What's Their Faces did. We were on that game first. That's all. Even if they made more episodes, we were first.
Yeah, but you're quitters.
We are quitters. That's the community of Star Citizen, bro. Come on.
That's a blended community. Yeah.
Get my refund.
With my people.
Where you go?
Yeah, it's basically like a Rooster Teeth kind of video. What were the other ones that made one? It was much higher production value, but I thought our humor was better.
Well, your humor was pretty slapstick, but geez, what the hell was that shit called? What Trendane doing
something
voiceovers
door,
and
something
stuff?
door, grab door,
Bulkheads.
airlock, something. Bulkheads, yeah.
I don't know.
No, they had that. I think they had the one guy that was making all those videos that hired on SIG too. Remember that one guy that used to make those videos, and in every video he'd do like a SIG hire me in the video. Make those big epic like cinematic videos. No, not ringing a bell. Man, I feel like although I've been away, I know
He got hired by CIG.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That guy got hired.
Alex S. Yeah. We had him on the show right before he got fucking hired, or as he was getting hired, and he couldn't talk about it because he was making that Vandal Invasion Letters from Vega or some shit like that, or whatever it was called, which was really good shit. I mean, the community, that section of the community is pretty fucking wild.
I mean, that was the thing too. Like, I remember, like, I was in the chat last week. I was asking you just to kind of reminisce about how the community was, compare the community back then as opposed to now. Like,
we didn't have as much to bitch about back then because there wasn't as much of a game.
But it
was all fucking theory craft.
Right, but
if
there's
they don't do this and if they don't do that and blah blah blah, that's what
there was a lot of enthusiasm from different angles. You know, like. You had the content creators. You had the content creators from one side. You had the arena commander PvPers on one side. You had orgs. You know, the money was coming in full circle, so there was a lot of hype around the game. So you had a lot of build up in orgs and theory crafting and building of just player relations in general. There's a lot of both in-game meta and outside meta that was going on. There was a lot of different angles that you could, sink your teeth into at that time.
Oh my God, the server is lagging.
Yeah, I can't even go quantum drive this thing.
You're jumping all over the place for me here at the moment. I can't even track you. Sorry.
That's okay.
It's still buggy, yes, dude. It's still buggy.
No, I've known it, so it's always been. I'll tell you, one of the most frustrating things that I did back in the day is remember using that hot table and getting fucking weapons equipped, and then half the time they flip. Like, I remember bugs. Like, I know it's an alpha. Like, that happens, and even like back in the day, I remember there would be like holes in the shield where like you could one-shot somebody from if you hit them in the front of the cockpit correctly, because there would be like a hole in the code, or like if the ship turned a certain way, the bullet would bypass the shield. And then you had the horrible balancing back in the day where you had like sledge commander, where 2 shots of one weapon would 1 hit a guy or 2 hit a guy.
Yep.
It was but it was fun though, because like meta would form because of that. Like there would be pilots who wanted to go against the meta just because of it and would do a good job of doing it. Like they'd own people that were using the current broken gun, and they were using like 2 Badgers on an M50 and just not letting them hit them. Because they were at that point. That was a great testament of the flight model. Back in the day of pilot skill trumping equipment. Now it's, please show me a scenario where that happens now. It doesn't.
I don't know. I think they stopped doing the SC4 tournaments and everything. I haven't heard anything about that recently.
It probably does.
I don't think
it probably does in that small community
right now, because
it probably does in that small community because they run their own like segmented like 1v1s and like free fight and stuff. But you can't do that kind of thing in the PU. Like you remember like the CS missiles back in the day where they had crazy lock-on cones, so where the missiles could do like 180s and stay on you for like 45 seconds, and it became an acquired skill to avoid those missiles at that time.
I remember when the missiles used to work,
but they don't work now.
You got such a great satisfaction out of learning that skill and acquiring it to where you didn't care anymore if somebody was spamming.
Everything has changed, you see. That's the problem.
Oh, I know. But change, of course, because the game's being built. Neglect is another word that I would use. And Chris admitted it.
Lack of resources is another word I would use. If they made it bigger, you just simply, you can only apply a certain amount of people to whatever.
No, sure. But like Chris said, you got to keep the game fun.
Yeah. But I think that's only a recent philosophy that they started to realize that
When all the players, when they, like Duke said, they know their
gotta
metrics.
know their metrics
They
are
know
out.
who's getting in the game and who's not getting in the game, and
oh yeah,
how many players played Arena Commander back in the day.
I mean, I'm
And,
sure their metrics are up right now at 3.2, but
for the persistent universe.
It's probably not a sustainable metric though. Like I imagine that as the
Probably not.
Glean 3.2 wears off, that metric's going to drop back off again. That was part of the great thing about back in those days, is that you had a solidified group like of large amount of players that were hooked to the game at that time. It wasn't a log in once, see where the game's at, and then log out for 6 months kind of player.
Holy crap, we've been going for so long. It's the end of the show. Supposed to be.
It's supposed to be. We could go on for another 2 hours, I'm sure.
Dude, like I said, man,
I'm 20 minutes late.
Oh god.
That's true.
It's exiting the wrong side of the bed.
Oh, it's gonna put you out into space. Let's see what it does. It did.
It's the backside of the
Whoopsie.
Yeah, will you die?
That's a bug.
Because this usually kills you.
Can you stream that YouTube video of the flight combat from back in the day that I have? Would that be too much to ask?
I don't even know if you had one.
I'll link it.
I'm sure we can stream anything, Dupes. It's fucking 2018.
We should put these episodes on YouTube. His name Chelsea. If they're good enough, that is. Did I join a different instance or am I in the same one? Because I still see Antrak on my HUD.
Well, there are bugs with that too.
Well, you're automatically being pulled back into where your friends are now.
In
But
theory,
I
if
didn't
you
want
log
to.
in within the right amount of time,
That was a crap server.
it saves your spot for, I think, 2 minutes or something like that.
You can at least use the quantum drive again now. Who's firing at me?
Pirates.
All I'll say is we'll have to be patient till the end of the year because that's when most of the network mechanics technically should be in place.
Fuck you.
And then we'll know where the state of the game is.
Well, we'll know whether or not. Well, actually, we may or may not, because there's always the caveat that even though it's on the roadmap, it might not get finished. So if we can see object container streaming, network bind calling, fixes to the targeting,
Holy
and
crap.
maybe the beginning stages of server meshing before the end of the year, then that's going to be a good sign.
The guns sound jammed sometimes. They're like...
They overheat. That's the sound of the overheated weapon.
Yeah.
Now, I was watching some German guy do a review on overclocking and stuff, and when he overclocked his weapons, they never overheat. They overheated, but they never stopped firing, and they never got damaged, which was very weird. Elwook said, explain the bass music situation / Twitch problem.
All right, I'm here to sing you here. You want to?
I'm a what?
After he kills this cutlass.
Or do you want me to take it?
He's not even listening. He's fighting.
All right. Well, the situation is that we got hit by the DMCA strike there a couple of weeks ago. And because we are licensed, we have to play the game by the book and we have to be patient. The reason for the delay is Twitch and their wonderful super fast response time in their help desk. Because the only interface we have with Twitch is through a Google Doc. That's it, a Google Doc.
I put it in a chat. Rowan.
Did you? Oh yeah, sorry.
In Discord chat.
So we have to just be patient. Unfortunately, it is a pain in the backside, considering that we are licensed and even the company who issued the license approve of what we're doing. So we have the backing of SOCAN. We just need to get Twitch's bloody attention, and that's the delay, really, unfortunately. There's not much we can do, really. We don't have, if we had the money, we would lawyer up and saying, "Oi, get your shit together." We've been off the air for 2 weeks, but we don't. So we just have to take it easy and wait for Twitch to finally respond. If they do, if they don't, well, we are looking at other options, but we'll wait and see before we go near them.
Can you stream the video, or will you get in trouble? It's got music on it.
What kind of music?
Fucking AC/DC, Thunderstruck.
Oh dear.
So the one part in the video like that you need to watch is at 3:24, and it's mission in an M50, and it pretty much describes what you used to be able to do back in the day with a small, nimble, fast ship. And it's crazy. It's epic. It's awesome.
Okay.
3:24.
3:24. This is 2.5 minutes. This is 3-minute long video.
No, you got the wrong one then.
You got the wrong one then.
I know, I linked the wrong one.
Yeah, show video with no audio.
Right there. Okay, I just linked it again.
Okay. Is the music? No, it's not required.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
Yeah, if you timestamp it at 3:24, you just see like what you used to be able to do with the flight model. Are we gonna stream it on Twitch?
I wouldn't.
As long as there's no audio.
Well, if there's no music. Okay, yeah, if there's no audio, it's fine. We have to be super careful here. Oh, Eden. Hello, Eden.
So what he's doing is he's dodging a CS missile right now, and you see he actually he baits the missile into a pattern and just lets it blow up.
Right. Actually, we used to do that. With,
it's incredible. Yeah, it's incredible.
With trainings. What was the guy's name?
Yeah, that was part.
There was a certain pattern you had to do to dodge missiles.
Zine.
Zine. XEEN. Right, and that was part of the flight trainings that we used to do back in the day. But like, yeah, if you watch this video, there's, like I said, there's 4 different pilots in this video. There's 1 joystick user, 2 interactive mouse pilots, and one mouse pilot and relative. So what that means for anybody who doesn't know is that the one mouse pilot and relative doesn't use gimbals. He actually uses fixed, so you don't have that dead zone when you fly. And he's the one that actually did that missile dodge. And he was actually, of the 4, he was probably the best pilot, and he didn't even use gimbals back in that time. He used an M50 that was highly maneuverable, so he just duck and dodge around people that couldn't hit him. But like if you watch, like you'll like whenever the clips go to me, I'm the only joystick user, and you can see the difference and like how I have to aim compared to how all these other mouse users are aiming. And that was the big debate back in that day. But just looking at this video, there was different flight styles, there were different ways you can play, and it's what made it so fun. And that's why people were so passionate about it. What happened was 2.0 happened, which means that pretty much all the work went into 2.0, and a lot of the maintenance on Arena Commander and the flight model went out the door.
There.
Like if you just watch, my pace of flight is much slower. It's much more
smoother.
You're in a Hornet.
But you can see you can see me fighting ESP even back in that day with it. Like it's bouncing around. But like if you watch another Super Hornet pilot in that video, which is Green Avenger, he's a mouse pilot, and you just watch what he's doing with gimbals,
and
using
it's perfectly
same ship as me. He's rolling, he's doing all this crazy stuff while still keeping an aim on target. Meanwhile, it's harder for me to like roll and aim at the same time as a joystick pilot. You can just see the difference. But I was still considered decent back in those times. I would still beat most people that I flew against.
And I can tell you that like this activity with the joystick staying on target is not changed. It's still a battle to stay on pit.
Yeah. And but the thing is that what they did is that so instead of fixing the actual problem, which was fixing how we aim, they would instead imbalanced weapons to where they just make fixed weapons super OP, so where you would still have that aim problem, but it would take less hits. It would take less hits on the. See, like that's Green Avenger. He's like back strafing while he's lighting missiles up at the same time. Like it's crazy some of the stuff that's going on in this video if you know what to look for.
And very stable.
Like go to some of Mission's early footage in the video, and you see what he does. He like literally will be on like the top side of a Hornet and just bounce around him, and he'll literally make this Hornet pilot look like a fool in an M50. But you don't have that, and I guess like they started right. They made some of the flight characteristics a little bit better. So you have I think this is actually the one video. It's I think maybe the first one.
Oops.
But the Hornet pilot just can't hit him.
What's the difference I'm saying? My screen goes on top of it. Strafing, a lot of strafing there, yeah.
Oh yeah, that mission. Yeah, but that was an M50, right? Like that ship's supposed to be highly maneuverable, light. Like, but yeah, well, look, he's just dancing around. The Super Hornet has
just
no
keep
chance.
Away from his front side, yeah.
Yeah, see what he. None of that, and he was there for a long time. And then they had problems like remember like the boost fuel running out, and that was the only way it could be maneuverable at some point in time. So like all those kinds of tuning changes for the worse is what started to kill. And then now factor in they do things they added like in the afterburner technique or the mechanic at one point to where people when you did try to get into a fight with people, they just afterburn away at 800 meters per second. So you couldn't even get into a long sustained fight for a little while.
Well, sure, but part of the problem with that was matching. And the reason I say that is because you guys played this a lot and got really fucking good at it. And then a newer player would get in a match with you guys and wouldn't know what the fuck was going on and would just die and die and die and die and die and die. And it's not fucking fun.
Sure, it can be. It can be like club and seals, true. But that's also, I mean, the world's not a nice place either.
Well, if they had the matchmaking system where they were like, okay, your KD is blah blah blah, and your KD is fucking horrible, we'll match you with players of equal skill until you build up some skill.
But I also remember too what I did. I had my own litmus test for me before I even went into PvP because I decided this was going to be the first game that I used joysticks in. I decided that I won't actually enter a PvP match until I can complete Vandal's Swarm without dying once, and with the stock loadout of a Hornet. And that was my litmus test. Whenever I could do that is when I decided to then go into PvP. I didn't buy the game and then jump into PvP immediately. I learned it. I practiced on my own first, so that when I went into Arena Commander, I wasn't going to win any matches, but I also wasn't going to, be the steal.
Just get wrecked all the time, yeah.
So it depends. I mean, it depends how you want to prepare yourself. I mean, most of my gaming experience has been PvP games. I don't like playing against a computer because computers have patterns and trends, and over time you eventually recognize them and figure them out, and a computer does not become challenging anymore. Playing against people is generally always the most challenging aspect of playing a video game.
Oh, absolutely.
So for me, PvP was always what's attracted to me, and I also know that it's not, unless you're like some gifted whiz kid, you're not going to go into a brand new game playing with a new type of controller setup and expect to be good. And I knew that going in, and instead of going in and getting my face fucking reamed, I decided to take some time before I went in.
Yeah, but unfortunately you have two different extremes of that same mentality, right? You have and I know like
that makes sense. I agree.
The community coined Care Bear, where they needed their hand held and all this bullshit, which is fine, and I don't see why everything needs
hire the non-Care Bears to take care of the Care Bears, and then that's the ideal world,
right? So, but you see that in these things, like we were talking about the Facebook posts, is motherfuckers are killing me while I'm trying to fucking get repaired at Cryastro. Yeah, unfortunately for you that got killed at Cryastro, that's a part of the game right now because there's no differentiation between what is safe and what is not safe.
And there's no causality in the game, man. So people can just do whatever they want.
Yeah, I love those griefer posts because it just brings me back to that argument that people made back in the day with, Arena Commander doesn't match the PU environment, but then they're going to go into the PU environment and then they're going to get blown up by a PvPer and get mad about it. Like, this is what you were asking for. is a PU environment. It's not you get something that matches closer to what the environment's going to be, where you need to hire things like escorts and stuff.
Well,
People
people
are gonna bitch
didn't,
about it.
you know, you don't understand what open world means. You ever play fucking Rust?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, DayZ,
yeah,
fucking
please sign me
anything
up
like
there.
that. You know, they think they're just gonna let you go around and pick up loot without trying to fucking kill you and take your shit. That's
Yeah, that's not going to be.
But see, I don't see, the only thing I see as griefing is like if you can like bypass like blowing somebody up at like Port All-Star where weapons, like, you know, a bug happens to where you can shoot somebody where you can't shoot somebody
That's
normally.
exploits,
But like if exploits. But if you blow somebody up at Grimhex at a Grimhex pad, that's your own fucking fault. Like, that's not griefing to me. Like,
well, apparently CIG thought it was griefing because they re-implemented the freaking armistice zone at Grimhex.
Yeah, I know. I know, because, well, again, it goes back to the combat, right? Is that there's not an engaging combat environment right now. So what people do is they want to use their weapons to blow stuff up. And most of the time, you're not getting into these dogfights. And if you are getting into these dogfights, it's at this decent, crazy, you know, lag fest, you know, 15 frames a second, where it was back in the day, to where you couldn't hit anything and people just got frustrated and flew away. So people want to see stuff blow up. They're going to fucking, oh, look, there's a ship that can actually blow up for once. I'm going to do it. Again,
yeah, and then there's some
PU
pilots out there
environment.
that want the challenge, and they're going to go after players. They're not going to go after the NPCs, which are abundant now in the current iteration of the PU. So if you wanted a dogfight, you could dogfight either way. You could do NPCs. You can find players. But if you're trying to test yourself, you're going for fucking players.
Can I just go back to? Sorry, can I just go back to the Grim Hex thing about the armistice zone?
Sure.
Yeah, one of the problems was when you say you spawned in the Grim Hex and then you wanted to get a ship. It was very difficult for a long time. Yeah, and you couldn't get off the place because somebody was there blowing
they
up
blow your ship up right before you even got out of the fucking airlock.
So yeah, I think the fix would be is that, say, because remember, is if you logged out of Grimhex, that's where you started the game back up. And
yes.
That's the problem is you got basically trapped at Grimhex.
Mm.
So you could say that turned into I would argue that's somewhat of an exploit, because now you're using the game mechanics to break gameplay. You know, like in a real world, like if you logged out of Grimhex, see, that's the thing, and it's tough because that's kind of the bed that SIG made for themselves with Grimhex. You know, like they wanted it to be this non-law outlaw post, but then if you don't have a way for people to switch from spawning at Grimhex to Port Olisar, then you're going to run into that situation. You know. So what is it going to be? Are you going to
long-term game mechanics? So dupes are going to dictate that that's going to be a part of the game.
Right.
Like, really. But yeah, you know, in the future, you probably won't be spawning on pads. You'll spawn in an enclosed hangar,
your own, or instance hangar or something.
And then
there's gonna be somebody outside waiting. You know.
Yeah, but if you could zip the fuck out, it's different than your ship sitting on a pad, vulnerable.
Well, you're gonna need
there's gonna be NPC security everywhere. That's basically it. So even Greymax is going to have its own little security.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. The thing about armistice zones is that they're not supposed to be. You know, they're not.
Generally,
you're supposed to be there because the law enforcement should work totally different than just a place where you're locked for using your weapons. You should be able to pull out your weapon anywhere, even in cities.
Grimhex was originally supposed to be a place that was lawless, and that if you were going to go there, you knew you were going to get in some trouble.
Yeah, look at what Wook said in chat. He goes, it used to be pretty fun fighting away from the airlock off the pad. That was the idea of Grimhex, right? Is that you're in there, it's a cutthroat place, it's supposed to be tense, you're supposed to walk around with your, you know, head on a swivel, like our old.
I wouldn't mind if they did that, but he just went straight for the ship, and you know that was it.
Right, I agree. So what's like the game? Like, how do you stop that from happening?
It has to be NPC security.
At this point, there is no way to stop that. It's a future mechanic that's going to be developed.
Even not. The only thing that could stop that is just spreading the player base out more to more locations to go to. I think that at this point in time is what was the worst cause of it. Grimhex was a new place. It was unlawful. So you had all these people that could only go to 2 places at the time.
Sure.
You know, like, and so, but you know, if the full PU comes on, you have all these different planets and people are exploring and doing all this crazy stuff. Like, you know, you're probably not going to have as many people sitting at Grimhex waiting, you know? And then of those people that are sitting, how many are the bad apples that are going to grieve?
But all that shit is going to change over time as well. So what we see now that's considered griefing will have some sort of rectification, and it will morph into something else that is considered griefing.
Again, it's the same thing of big prioritizing the proper stuff to work on, right? Like the reputation system, like great that they got it in, but is there really a is there what can it really do from a gameplay standpoint at this point? Like I honestly think they just added it in to give Comrade missions, make Comrade missions a thing personally, which
sure.
that
Well,
was
it was
really
supposed to at the beginning of bounty hunting when you
we're gonna
used to
give
have
you
the
a
fucking
yeah.
whatever they called the player with max crime stat, the most wanted bullshit. You could go try to kill that guy who was usually one of the better pilots and would just fucking ass rape you.
Yeah, so missions in chat right now.
They're also
yeah, so
late,
like mechanics, right? Like they talk about like making Grimhex unplayable, but like at the same time too, like I would argue you want to make combat better and think about the gameplay that you want to implement first. Like if you're going to implement mining, make sure that there isn't a paywall so everybody can actually at least use it for a little bit.
Fucking mission.
I just don't believe any place like Grimhex will be 100% lawless. There has to be some form of security. The only place that'll be lawless is out in space.
Well, and this is theoretically the location in itself is supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like
somewhere
rules that they wanted to set, that was the rules that's set for this place. Like,
it's run by gangs, but gangs even need to keep discipline. If it was total chaos, then you couldn't run the place.
Well, they kind of had something going on there, like around Port Olisar. If you came in there flagged, fucking a bunch of AI security would come and chase you away, or you would kill them, and more AI security would. Holy fuck! What in the hell?
Where is he? What's going? Oh, okay.
Jesus Christ, man!
Did you just go through the window? You did.
No, he went to me.
He's pretty close. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of the issues today are going to be resolved, and there'll be new issues tomorrow, and that's just the way that it's going to go for over the next couple of years. You know, I think the hinge is still, you know, persistent universe gameplay is going to be an evolving thing over the next 5 years at least. It'll consistently change, but the big thing is, like Dupsums was saying, you know, if you don't have the proper flight model and the proper targeting model and the proper control mechanisms in place, then Squadron 42 can't be a thing. And everything about Star Citizen hinges on Squadron 42 being the best possible game it could be. Because more people are going to buy Squadron 42 to play the Tomb Raider version of a space sim than are going to buy the MMO side. It's just the way that I see it playing out. I could be wrong, but that's the way I see it.
but I guess that's my point is like, if you think about it, and this is where a lot of the frustration that like, at least like my side comes in as far as like the combat pilots go, is that like, we've had all this time to iterate on the flight model. And if the main goal is to get 42 out, we'd want to iterate on the flight model and get it.
Well, you get a bunch of stone Brits fucking changing values in a flight model. You're going to get a shitty fucking flight model, dude. If you see these cats, they're baked. They're just straight up baked.
No, the problem is that they all fucking suck at they didn't have anybody at the time in house that was actually good at the game was the problem. And
do they have anybody in house that's good at the game?
Well, they added Bayor. They added Bayor in. Yeah, I mean your QA guys are probably going to be your best pilots because they play the game the most. But you know Bayor's in there, so I don't know how much of his role's in there. But I noticed that all his posts in Spectrum that Bayor has made has been about flight model and testing. Like he's put out a bunch of Google forums and surveys and stuff for people as far as feedback goes on what as far as how they feel.
Well, this is good, right?
And everything, so.
But again, we don't know like what level Bayor has decision makings is like, is he actually digging in the code or is he just he's
probably a liaison to relay his opinions and mixed with community opinions to say, this is what players are saying, and I hate to say it like this, right? But the world has changed since Wing Commander. And I get Chris wants a certain feel, but, we've had this discussion before. The World War II flight model does not work in space. It just doesn't. So if Chris is unwilling to take the input of people around him that might have an understanding of what's going on, then the game is destined to fail, period. If one man controls everything and refuses to take input in any aspect in life, I don't fucking care what it is, you will fail, period. Because you can always learn something from somebody else, regardless of how fucking smart you are.
P. Gilling says also we have top pilots in ETF now as well. There are great conversations going in there with the devs. So I'm not in ETF because I stopped playing, but hopefully that's a good thing. I would imagine like I can say it was a really good sign for Pritchett to come out and make that post and really engage and ask questions about the flight model. Like that was something that very positive happened recently. Although he left, like I said, his job was to build it, not tune it. So him leaving didn't really affect as far as like, I mean, it's definitely still hurts as far as new systems that have to be built. But as far as Pritchett leaving and the balance of the game goes, it shouldn't really affect it too much if we have proper people in place. There's a Bayor in there, and there's other people that are experienced with the flight model and actually like know the intricacies of it and how to tune it. Then I'm not worried about it. But that Pritchett post coming out recently, also this ESP patch coming out, is like these are like two posts recently where it feels like these pilots that are very adamant and have passion about the combat and how these ships feel, or these are two recent signs of them being heard and getting their voices out there again.
They've always been heard. It's just they didn't have the time or the resources to do it, and now
I mean, they didn't have the time or resources to do it, but they did produce an AT video where they're fucking holding an Xbox controller up and they're talking about controller conformity, and everybody gave them shit for it because that video clearly showed how much they did not know what the fuck they were talking about. So don't give me the shit about resources. They had resources on it. They just had shit resources on it, and that's why people were frustrated. So the best resource at the time that the community thought was themselves, because they were the ones that were playing it the most, which was probably true. What's going
to happen? What was he talking about? Hold on. I don't mean to interrupt you, Dupes, but end track. There you go.
Anyways.
Nice.
Self-destructed.
He's self-destructed as Connie.
Surprised I didn't explode from that, because that's...
No, you were pretty close.
Yeah.
But no, you're not inaccurate, Dupes, and I get,
I just think that like it's the overall player base has suffered because of it. The game overall, like as far as health wise, has suffered because of it, and it's it's sad. From my point of view, it's sad because I would have kept playing this game. I would have been more engaged at this point. But
have you lost faith?
No, I haven't lost faith. I'm just salty. Like I said, I follow it every day, and like I'm just at this point, I won't log in and play till combat's actually a fun game to play.
Would you not try something else? Just for the time being.
I have a prospector you can borrow.
Seriously?
Yeah, dude, I'm on wireless right now. I don't even know if I can fucking play this game.
Internet connection.
I got 100. I got 100 down. I got a 5G router, so I think I did a speed test.
Yeah, you could do it.
I think I'm at like 40 up here in my second level.
Can you take that? Oh, it just disappeared.
I wish I could, because then I would have been rich, baby.
And salvaging next, isn't it? Or is it 3.4?
Most likely, all that 3.3 will be. My best guess is object container streaming will be in, and there won't be much else. Maybe some new ships, and maybe some.
Well, there will be some new ships. There'll be some whatever
new
you call them, variants.
New ships, new armors, new weapons, and hopefully object container streaming in some new locations. But I don't know if they're going to have enough. I don't know if they have the resources to get that done and get.
Yeah, 3.3 is pretty large.
And get all the other.
You can see that being cut down.
Well, if you look at the roadmap, there's a bunch of stuff in there that you can see is not going to make the time frame. But the big thing is getting the real big thing is getting stable frame rates across all platforms.
Yeah,
it really is. In the Persistent Universe, Arena Commander, and Star Marine, the lag has to go. If the lag continues, the game isn't. It's playable because it's an alpha, but it's not enticing to go in there and do stuff because sometimes it's really fucking bad.
I mean,
like,
look at
bad.
that. Look what Mission just wrote. Like AOTW, which I think they absorbed RS, so they probably got a lot of the pilots from back in the day now.
Mm-hmm.
They have their own personal conversations going on in their own Discord chat with them regarding Blight. So like what he said, and that was happening back in the day when it was RS, and so those conversations have always happened. But in the past, those conversations were happening, and not a lot as far as future patches and changes felt like what they were telling the devs was actually being listened. So, like I said, I don't have the patience anymore to play. So I'll wait till the missions and the Malagos.
See, this is the thing that annoys me. We don't know if they were not listened or not.
Well, we don't.
It's all priority. So just because they didn't get feedback.
No, that's true. But if they were getting feedback at that time from those pilots, directly,
I know it would be helpful, but I think
no, right. But what I'm saying is that if they were telling them back in the day, they were having those same conversations, and those changes weren't coming based off of some of the recommendations they had, then wouldn't that lead you to believe that your feedback wasn't being, or they were listening, but they obviously were ignoring?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But like I said, two things that recent with the John Pritchard post and then this ESP post. Like I said, that ESP patch is huge for. I mean, there's a huge portion of players that ESP is broken for. So fixing that makes this game playable for a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. But I think what you're seeing now, honestly, is nothing really gets done unless it directly affects Squadron 42.
10.3 gigs.
Right? So part of the deal with the flight model not getting as much attention was because Squadron 42 wasn't as complete as we were hoping it was. So now that it's coming to the point where they're starting to round that game project up, it's time to focus on things like AI combat, like ground and space AI combat really needs some attention. And the flight model for the player, if it isn't really super smooth for mouse users, joystick users, and gamepad users, or whatever your control input choice would be, it's going to be a problem for the game. It can't launch without it feeling proper. It has to feel good. So I would think that part of the new push for this stuff is tied in with that as well. While they were building all these assets and core tech in the background, because part of the reason, okay, why would we adjust the flight model? Why would we put time into the flight model when it doesn't fucking matter at this point, right? Like, in the grand scheme of things, if you look at the very big picture, the flight model is a little tiny part, although integral, a little tiny part of a huge fucking picture.
Well, I would say it's the basis of almost every mechanic in the game.
Well, sure, but if you don't have any mechanics in the game, there's nothing to base it on.
True, but wouldn't you want to get the base? Right, but wouldn't you? Right, but wouldn't you, like, just like how you have to get the tech done first, before you can build the content, and build the set pieces and all that kind of stuff. Like, same thing.
I understand.
It's hard to build the mechanics when your flight models and your ship tuning is still.
Well, sure, and that's what I'm saying exactly, is that I think they're at a point now where they're like, okay, it's time that we really need to hammer this out and make this function the way that it was intended to function, or change it and make it something different.
Innovis, I want the best game possible, buddy. I'm just passionate about it.
No, remember way back. We're talking fucking 2.5 years ago, the great controller debate.
Oh yeah, that was
freaking 3 episodes.
That was so fun.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, I just you figured whenever they make a trailer announcement to 2016 for Squadron 42 that they would be that getting the flight model tuned in would have been a priority in 2016, but apparently it wasn't.
I'm still confused by that. Like, literally, still confused.
Yeah, I know, me too.
Did they actually think it was going to launch in 2016?
Exactly.
Yeah. And then things changed and it got all fucked up, that's
what I was trying to ask you guys the other week. Is like, so from that announcement happening, procedural planets came into play, right? That was the game changer. But like, so all of a sudden, like, if you think about it, right? Like, I was at CitizenCon, thank you, Base, and they had the script like physically there at CitizenCon, and if procedural generation wasn't a thing at 2016, and that script is done and had talked about the 300 and something rewrites or whatever, then
why would you change it? Why would you not put it out in its current form?
That was a lot more linear back then than it is now.
Right,
you still have the same linear line, but you're allowed to move around more. I think that's the big difference between now and then.
Well, they could have presented a game, a fully playable and functional game in space only. They could have.
It would have been on ground as well. I remember seeing footage of them being on the ground a long time ago. So
not at the level that we saw in the vertical slice.
I swore I seen FPS action on some kind of metal ramp. It was on a hill there. It's kind of a semi-toxic looking planet. I swore there wasn't. I think I even have a picture somewhere of it.
What I would like to see mission in here is some quality dupe, some snore time.
Snore time.
Oh god. No, they did not.
First by now.
When SysCon 2016 happened, they did not. I'm pretty sure my snorings went away. With smoking. But,
I bet.
Did you stop? Fair play.
I did. I'm like.
Yeah, when you're in the chair like this.
Weeks.
Well done.
That leads to snoring.
No, I think it was a completely different game back then. I think.
Oh, for sure.
2016. So.
It was, and this is what's got a bunch of people butthurt, though.
But that's the thing is, like, so why would they make that trailer if on the horizon there's a complete change? Like
because they didn't see it. You see, everything is so fluid in that place.
Yeah.
Like it'll only pop up next week. They probably only found out the week after they did it, going, "Oh,
yeah,
look,
right.
Look what we can do now."
Well, it's a good possibility because Brian Chambers said that this I think was it Marco Corbetto just asked for permission to not work on what he was scheduled to work on so he could focus on that.
So here's what made people salty, though, right? Is the game changed with the procedure generation. I think that was announced in 2016 sometime. I don't know. I can't remember when, I think, right? Roughly in 2016, I think, is when they...
Pupil the Planet and shit hit.
Yeah, Pupil Planet and all that crap hit. But then there was still no word on 42 and 16. That was the thing that made people salty. It was that there was no communication that even though PGs came out, it was getting delayed again.
Is it because it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission?
Yeah, right? Who knows?
Well, I'm going to have a guess here from my observation, but I think they had major problems with the AI.
Yes, they still do.
AI doesn't need to
Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Remember that crowd? What was it? Moon Collider?
Moon Collider.
I think that was the problem. That didn't come to fruition.
Is that still on the splash screen? The oh my god, what is the software called that drove it? Because Moon Collider was the studio, but the software had a different name.
Thing. Yes.
Hey, Ron, play Uncanny in the background. I think it was.
Actually, I'll log in here now if I do.
And you know what? To be fair, CIG made some really shitty missteps by third-partying a bunch of shit. And we're still waiting to see if the third-party mechanism for the Spectrum integration is fucked up the same way that the first-person shooter integration, Kythera was the name. Thank you.
Kythera, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
The following movie has been rated R.
So it's still there then. That's okay.
You going to do this with audio?
No.
I don't think we have any music. And you're looking at...
Well, my music's in it.
Yeah, but that's your music.
Yeah, it's not copywritten. It's for you shit.
People can just watch it anyway.
Shit, I'm gonna have to listen to this.
No, I'm not.
I'm gonna cringe so hard.
Really? You want to actually watch it with audio?
Fucking Drum narrating it.
Because it was funny.
Drum had the best narration voice.
Is only comparable to the trove of
mysteries. What's that? AC/DC in the background there, is it?
Celestial bodies of incomparable beauty are birthed.
Oh, right, sorry.
Their only promise being that they too in time will
should be audio.
Decay and turn to dust.
If it's royalty free, we're okay.
Are meaningless in comparison, and yet we still have a valid part in the whole. Empires rise and empires fall. Throughout our existence, influential people of power have marked human history. with
Thank
their
God for mouse
achievements and
smoothing.
their advancements. Yes, even their blunders.
My sound effects
Still,
are awesome.
we dare not disregard the lowly, those without power or privilege or skill.
Whose voice is that?
The many examples who through
Drum.
mischance and even at times pure dumb luck have left permanent scars on the
cool
fabric
voice.
of time itself.
Sorry.
This then, this is their story.
Sorry, miss.
No. It's not fucking there. No fucking way. This guy's taking a right fucking piss. What's my name? What is my fucking name? Giggleswigs? Bilbo Baggins? Humpty Dumpty? No. Look at it. Look at it. Look at the state of it. My life. Well, the builder could have fixed this fucking
This is
cock
so
up.
bad.
I'm gonna kill him. He's dead. I swear to God.
Star Citizen's premier online radio.
The little bass blurb in there.
I think his sound effects actually use the freaking sound effects of a vacuum cleaner turning off.
I let you have you know I'm singing my own Aurora song that I wrote.
Fucking Bellend, you damaged my shit.
Right there.
Any idea how much those Gimmer mounts cost me?
Hey now, not my fault you got in the way of my shit. You not hear me rocking out to my jam? I was in my element. Lay off. Stop whining about a simple love tap, dude.
A love tap?
Oh, fuck. Shit.
5,000 credits, and that's all you have to bloody say. Things have been tight ever since you convinced me to jump on that so-called easy escort mission.
Cal, I'm really not feeling your negativity right now. Why bring this up again? Do you like to reminisce on shitty fucking memories? I mean, why does it always have to be about you? Besides, it was fucking easy. And we agreed to never talk about Elias.
You had one simple task. Feed the monkeys every 12 hours.
Whoa. We've been over this. I thought it was every 2 hours based off your chicken scratch. And how was I supposed to know that dried monkey feces was explosive? I guess you forgot to send that memo, you bloody moppet.
Do you not skip high school science class? You'd know that. How else do you think they would react? The Xeon detected a cargo hold filled with combustible materials.
Look,
You just sit there and talk for a
them to
long
issue the
time.
entire crew with a mandatory cavity search. I mean, have you ever had your privacy invaded like that before?
Just a,
What? Of course not.
Neither have I up until that point in time. My only guess is they were angry with having to deal with our shipment in the first place.
Could you really blame them? It's probably due to the fact that they stepped onto the deck of a monkey ship throwing contest.
Did you see their faces? They were scared. I would have reacted the same way.
It didn't help the situation one bit, did it? We ended up with a cargo seized, being physically molested, not getting paid, or while spent like a primate's arse.
Again, Cal, this is why we don't talk about it.
Fine.
Who the hell is this?
Your rival.
How long?
All
How
right,
old
that's
is this?
classic.
I completely forgotten about that.
Fucking classic.
oh man, your song at the end. I loved it. I loved your song at the end. This is when we had the bug with running.
It's a gag reel, right?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Where's the other part? Well, this YouTube channel has one video. Oh, actually two.
We were halfway through making the next one, and like we had to like get shots for like us like EVAing and landing on like the light post and like jump like stealing the ship and shooting each other in the leg. Like there was a lot more to the second episode, and there was just too many bugs. It took too long and never came to be.
Well,
fucking quitters. Like I said,
pretty much.
fucking A. It's all good.
Pretty much.
It was funny.
It was fun. It was fun to do at the time. It was, again, there was just so much. I don't know. I'm so passionate back then.
So much beer.
So much beer.
Yeah.
You don't understand. Like me and Clexus we would get drunk and we work the script for like hours on end. I don't know how stupid I probably sounded. Us reading back and forth. What the fuck am I doing in my life?
I don't know anymore.
I'm all boring now. Sucks.
You're old now.
Old fart job.
Yep.
Yeah.
God
I'm telling
old.
you,
God real.
I'm a fucking mobile gamer. Get on my level, peasants.
Mobile games.
That person.
It's the only thing he can do when he's at the shitter at work.
That's what I wanted to talk about. You think like SIG is ripping off people? These fucking mobile games are ridiculous. I've met a ton of people who have spent $400 or $500 on fucking games. Like,
really?
Give me people shitting on Star Citizen. It's ridiculous. Like, people waste so much more money.
That's
I found
a
out
good
my
one,
mom the other
actually.
day spent like $150 on a fucking mobile game, and it's like shooting bubbles.
Right.
$150 to shoot bubbles.
And she's not even buying something that she's keep. It's like to refill her energy because time runs out. You want to talk about like scams and like being ripping people off and like
Does it have a better targeting
practices?
Yeah, what's its ESP like? Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably got a better targeting system.
Facebook.
It probably does. Yeah. Fortnite has better controls on fucking the phone than Star Citizen does. Not really. I at this point, I can't really say anything because I don't fucking play the game.
Yeah, we're done
anymore, so I'm
anyway.
spouting shit.
No, we're not. We have questions to answer.
What?
Are
You have
there?
questions?
We have 3 questions.
Oh, okay.
Well, we answered the Elwa question earlier about the Twitch problem. Realm, fuck that.
Fuck that. We're done. No, we're done.
No more questions.
Explain the bass music. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, no, you guys should get Mission back on here and have him get some of the pilots, have an actual discussion again. Probably guys haven't done one of those shows in a long time.
Trying to get like XLB and all these guys to have
just
a current state of the flight model debate bullshit conversation, which will just be nothing but fucking 4 hours assault.
I can just be the color commentator at this point and reminisce on
Is
the old
this
times.
a question you posted there?
Who's that?
We will see at the first Friday in August what will be pushed. I looked it up from the Q2 dates. They push things every first Friday of a new month.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was a question.
No, it wasn't. Doesn't look like.
No.
And we are out of questions. Good.
Okay.
Other than why is Realm so salty like a grumpy old man sometimes? And Eden, I would think it's because people who are dedicated to participate in this
They can't
stream,
count on people, right? Yeah.
right? They come in and they go, you know what? I'm not fucking feeling it today.
Bye.
Bye. Gotta go play out in the sun because I'm fucking.
You and your stupid nice weather.
And then they send us pictures, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Rub it in.
I thought I was on push to talk.
That's why I went out in the sun before. I sent a picture of that.
She was sleeping before
I was
the
in a
show.
what?
And then she
Really?
woke up and said, "Oh, I should probably go
I
outside."
woke up at 4 p.m.
It's an American thing.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, Mission just linked me the YouTube video that we got on ATV with too. I forgot about that. Remember when we used to like highlight like one like, fan made video a week on our ATV?
Yeah, it was combat, right?
No, it's when we're on the landing pad and somebody like blew us up and we all freaked out.
Oh yeah. With a missile or some shit.
Oh, I'm 6 hours ahead, but still.
But it's the captions that make it really.
Clash of Clans.
Clash of Clans.
Yeah.
Oh, they're
Okay.
playing fucking Fortnite on mobile now, aren't they?
No, that's a good one. We could use that argument for so many more years to come. It's like look at freaking mobile games and how they make people spend hundreds of dollars on that stuff.
Yeah, what's funny is people
it is
don't bitch
actually
about
kind of
that.
really weird.
You know why? Because when you spend money on a mobile game, you know what the fuck you're spending your money on. You're wasting your money.
You know you're being
what?
scammed.
If you buy Star Citizen ships
Did you
because
watch
you
that?
want a ship, You know what you're getting into.
Well, they
So-
should know what they're getting into.
You know,
they
you
don't
know
always.
what the fuck you're getting into.
They don't always do.
They go,
though.
oh, I didn't know. I didn't know.
Well,
you fucking knew.
It does
Of
take
course, it's not
advantage
an
of
argument,
people's
though.
addiction as well. So
Rowan, can you
Well-
stream that? Can you stream that video that I linked in chat? Twitch. That one had Mission, Switch, Trophius, and me in it. That's the one I was on ATV. That's actually pretty
Twitch?
funny too. You gotta hear the audio though, is what makes it funny.
Like,
But those explosions look really good back in the day.
Explosions.
like the
Oh,
kind of. It's like above the laser, yeah.
I wasn't ready to leave yet.
Yeah, I saw that. See, alright, we might have to do some investigating when we get there.
Alright, I'm here.
subtitles.
So,
Oh my god!
Is European?
Oh my god! Get the fuck down! Holy shit! Holy shit!
You know, when you mute.
We just die, like nothing hits us. Just fall over.
You know, when you have to censor beep something, you actually have to mute the speech as well.
I think actually he did that on purpose on one of them where he misses it.
You can still hear what he said. Yeah.
Yeah, part of it.
Oh,
That was
whatever.
part of the joke.
For adults only.
That's it then. Question is, so we have seen how they have mining working. Do you think that salvage will need the same precision? I think Scrumble or something.
To a certain extent, I think it's going to use the same
Disassemble something. Yeah.
theory.
It's gonna be similar, but like, how do you break it apart? And
Use your hands. Use grinder.
It's so really the only thing that we have to go off of with salvage is the old design doc, and a lot of it depends on how they actually decide to make these ships break. Personally, because Chris doesn't like faking stuff, right? Like,
No.
and if you remember, like the old design doc, they had like layers, and so I don't like if these ship. And remember that was always a question I used to ask back in the day. It was like, are they taking into consideration the salvage mechanic when they're building out these damage state
that's right,
models?
the charges. I
Because-
forgot about the charges. Yeah.
because the idea is that looking at like the reclaimer, right? The reclaimer would grab the piece of ship and then like maybe cut it a little bit more and then feed it into its grinder, right? Like that's the idea of the reclaimer.
Sure.
It cuts the pieces up and then it to small enough pieces where it can fit into its reclaiming area in the ship, and then it refines it into whatever materials or whatever it has left. So like that's what I was always my question back in the day. It was like, so when they're doing these damage states, are they just making these damage states to make the ships look pretty when they break, or are they factoring in like how they want to build the damage state like salvage model back in the day? And like if you base it off of the mining mechanic currently, I don't think any ship is built to currently be salvaged like that.
No.
No, the ships
Right.
all break into like
Set pieces.
a minimum of 5 pieces, I think.
They basically draw lines on the ship and it breaks at those points. It's not
Yes.
like a physically based damage system yet, where based off of where it. I mean, I think that there is a little bit. Like you can shoot at certain parts of the ship and that piece breaks off on the wing, but it still has limitations to it.
That is a good question. I don't know. I didn't design it.
So I don't know.
It'll probably require a complete rework of everything and extend the development of the game another year and a half or 2 years.
And that's what we were saying back then, is that all these damage states and improvements to the damage states are going to end up being reworked as soon as salvage comes on.
Maybe 2948 is a realistic year.
Or they're just going to cheat it and leave them as B to get the mechanic out, and then fix it eventually at some point.
No, they won't cheat.
That's what
Better than
everybody
that.
else does.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's why we back this, because everybody else cheats.
True story. Contains peanuts.
Dude, do you have? I asked you to play the sermon the last week. Can you still play that?
Fuck, I need to find that first in a gigantic database
Yeah,
of
that's-
crap and
I think that sermon is one of the greatest pieces of content that Base
I
Radio
don't
has.
think it's that messy.
No, probably isn't. But
Have you talked to him recently, Gentile? Have you heard
Fizzer?
from him at all? Was it Fizzer?
that was
there's two of them. There's
No,
two
but it
of
was.
them. He's
It
right.
was
there's
no,
two
your
of them.
friend the
mouth.
artist.
Oh, Alex?
Yeah.
Yeah, I talk to him every once in a while. He's
Remember-
busy. He's
He did
getting
the
married and shit now.
Cocaine Rico.
Yep.
I thought
He
he
did
was
a-
part of the sermon, but it was Fizzer that did the sermon.
But he still keeps
Fizzer.
up, isn't he?
Say that again?
He's still keeping his looping up.
I don't think so.
Oh, is he not? That's a pity.
Yeah, I don't think so, no. No, he got a girl, man.
Damn.
That's what happens. You
Yeah,
look at what
there.
happened to Dukes.
Yeah, that's true.
He got a girl. No more
that's
Star
him gone.
Citizen.
Yep.
No more base
gotta-
radio.
No
No
more
more trips to
skills.
Britain.
I know.
Yeah, no more skills. Probably
All
got a really
reminiscing.
strong right arm now.
Yeah.
I throw my left in there. I want to be ambidextrous,
Well, you got to keep the curve even.
Exactly. Please tell me you can find it, Roland.
I like the way he's trying to hide.
What do you guys think? Was this a good episode for what we had to work with? You like this format? Because apparently Eden's fucking done for the rest of the summer. She's gonna come back when it's like
You just play some Star
Oh,
Citizen
that-
in the background and talk about what we're doing.
You probably said something that probably pissed her off.
Yeah, when it's
what
cold.
she's gonna
yeah.
come back when it's cold.
Dark and cold, and
Oh, like we care.
no
We piss her
choice.
off. Meh, piss me off.
Hey, Zeus.
Next week.
No, I
Hello,
can't find
Star
it. Screw that.
Traders. God, how did it start? I'm trying to remember.
The fuck
Should've
are you talking about?
Should have uploaded it to YouTube.
Sermon.
You wrote the fucking thing.
Did he? I don't know where it is.
Dupsums wrote it.
On a
Fizzer
hard
read
drive
it.
somewhere. Sir, is that with an O?
I know we just referred to it as the sermon back in the day.
No, that's what the
I
file's
actually,
called too.
I
It's
caught,
under the
I got
Church
it.
of Chris Roberts.
I caught Matashi, the other Star Citizen streamer, doing ones before, and I'm like, oh gosh, ours are better. No offense to Matashi, but ours is better.
All right, so we can end it with that then. Does that mean we can get the hell out of here?
Other than the fact that I'm gonna say,
You don't want to stay for another couple of hours?
yeah, right. Next week,
What the?
over the last few weeks, I've been putting this out there for everybody, right? If you are a Star Citizen enthusiast, fucking Church of Chris Roberts cultist, whatever the fuck Derek Smart wants to call you, you're a fucking what does he call it? Shit, you're a Star Citizen. Yeah, you're a citizen, whatever. And you would like to come and discuss with us this stuff instead of just in chat. If you want to come on the Discord, and you can do video, you can not do video, it doesn't really matter. You're welcome to do so, because I just enjoy the fucking conversation in general, right? So I like talking, obviously.
Nobody else wants to join.
Go to Dukes today because he's like had yapping withdrawals for the last 2 fucking years. So he
I'm the only one that can ride with you. I'm the only one that
I
can
know, we roll deep, motherfucker.
roll deep.
Fucking A right.
Like riding a bike.
It is like riding a bike. So next week, Kemi65 is he's been around, he's been watching for a little while. He's gonna come on. I'm not sure exactly how that's gonna play out, if he's gonna do video or not. If Tio is gonna be around, if Eden Star is not gonna be around, then I don't know how we're gonna work this out. We won't even talk about it. We'll figure it out next Sunday, because who fucking cares
Just
anyway,
wing it.
right? We'll wing it like we did
CG.
today. Well,
This is your deepest content block yet. You're welcome.
it's in development. Yeah, thank you very much.
Deeply,
You're welcome to come
deeply
by,
salty,
Dukes,
yeah.
motherfucker.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, we playing it?
Yeah, well, let's go then. I suppose we could still put this up on YouTube though, but freaking 3 hours long now.
See ya.
Yeah. Thank you for watching, people, and listening.
Later.
So yeah, that's it. Bye. What else can we say?
I'm gonna listen to it.
Discord. Bye-bye.
Dear miners, traders, bounty hunters, dog fighters, captains, and pirates, may I take this opportunity to welcome you here tonight on behalf of the Church of Chris Roberts. It is wonderful, as always, to see all the familiar faces of our pilots and all the special backers of the great Master Race congregation. I know that you all join me tonight in extending a heartfelt, sincere welcome to all our new pilots and listeners who may be backing with us tonight. Welcome, space sailors. Let the milk of the way guide you, and may the Roberts himself beareth to you jump points and exotic locales. May Roberts himself and the Holy Concierge offer you the opportunity to grow in your Evership modules. We trust that this transmission today will fuel your quantum drives and encourage newcomers to dump said wallet into the pockets of Saint Chris Roberts himself. May your bounties be lifted and your UEE reputation cleared. May you feel comforted in the light of LTI as Roberts himself reveals his plans for Alpha, Beta, and launch. May you be inspired to become active in the recently rolled communal hub and become involved in one of the many organizations that the Citizen of the Star has to offer. Be encouraged with St. Chris Roberts' glorious words. I don't want to build a game. I want to build a universe. May St. Chris Roberts bless you and keep you, and may the LTI light continue to shine upon you.
Star Citizen's premier radio station.
I'm no meteorologist, but I'm pretty sure it's raining bitches.
Only on the base.